Welcome to the Blame It on the Boogie podcast. This is season 2, episode 1. We thank each and every one of you for watching all 32 episodes last season.
Listening to the shenanigans.
We hope that you continue to watch all the however many episodes you're gonna have this season. We are just tonight 3 brothers, all from the boogie, that's here just to talk to you a little thing called sports. With me tonight, we have at the top Dorian, the Almighty. Y'all know him as the Wonder Mouse Brown from Richmond, California. We have Dante, Geechee Dan Talk Too Much Nash from the Phoenix, Arizona. And of course, you got me, Rob, right here from the Detroit, Michigan. We missed y'all. We hate we didn't get a chance to give you more of our takes these last couple of weeks, but we want to thank you for joining back up with us this time. Usually at this time, I'm going to say, D, give me a recap. However,
this is a new year.
We got a brand new year. It ain't nothing for us to recap right now. So we just gonna get right into it because we miss talking about this stuff and we want to talk about it even more. So let's start this off with a couple of quick blurbs. We're gonna start off with your girl. Let me get to my banners. We're gonna start off with your girl that's doing her thing in I'm sorry, my bad. I'm getting
like, what girl?
What you doing? I'm like, huh? Who?
We have to start off by issuing our condolences to the family of one Buddy Harrelson. And Dante, for those that don't know, show them what Buddy Harrelson is known for doing. Go ahead.
You got the slide up.
Ground ball hit down to first base. Milner has it. Throws to Buddy Harrelson. 1 to first. Double play. And a fight breaks out. Pete Rose and Buddy Harrelson. Both clubs spill out of the dugouts. And a wild fight is going on. Jerry Kuzman's in the middle of the fight. Everybody is out there.
Oh,
Buddy Harrelson and Pete Rose got into it. Rose apparently thought that Harrelson had done something in making the double play. Rose outweighs Harrelson about 35 pounds. And now, Buzzy Capra is in a fight. Out in center field. Another fight breaks out.
That's courtesy of MLB circa 2012. We want to make sure that we give the information of who provided that clip, so we don't get sued.
That's from the Major League Baseball archives. That was not 2012. That was 1973.
Well, the video was from 2012.
However, while I want to definitely give condolences to the family. You always hate when somebody loses a loved one. Mm-hmm. However, I will say also that I resent that clip because it would get against my beloved Big Red Machine. And let me say that Pete Rose is a very nice guy. I've met Pete Rose. I had a chance to talk with Pete Rose. Now, I don't have any pictures because I knew it was going to cost money. We just happened to run up on Pete Rose, me and my dad, in San Francisco. He is an extremely nice man. We sat and talked to Pete Rose for a good 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. However, he played baseball hard. He probably went in spikes up on the shortstop. And as somebody who plays second base, got mad. As somebody who plays second base, you be ready to fight. So I completely understand why he had to get into Pete Rose. But again, Pete Rose is a very, very, very nice man. Let Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Yes. He is one of the greatest players to ever play the game of baseball, and he deserves to be in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, but when you get into these infamous things, part of someone's fame is also the infamous stuff that they did. Put put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame again. A very nice man, but he got
this motherfucker listening.
So, and my beloved Big Red Machine also got a chance to meet Barry Larkin. Shout out to Barry Larkin, extremely nice man as well. We had a nice conversation. Now, I definitely have pictures of me with Barry Larkin. Yeah. Anyway, let me get off my Reds kid.
Moving on to the little lady that Rodney was trying to introduce.
That he was alluding to. Yeah.
Yes.
Alluding to.
And that is one, Miss Caitlin Clark from the Iowa Hawkeyes. So the question, fellas, real quick, we're going to talk about this because this is part of our quick blurb section, is as it stands today, would you consider Caitlin Clark to be one of the best ever?
Quick blurb, yes.
That was quick.
Right. I've been watching, understand that, and I mean this. I have been watching college basketball since I was a little kid. I was a big Cheryl Miller fan. I was a Teresa Witherspoon fan. I've watched women's college basketball for a long time.
Dawn Staley now. Don't forget about my Dawn Staley.
But I'm talking about, I'm going back to the late 70s, early 80s when I was watching, before Dawn Staley, that I've been watching women's college basketball. And yes, she is one of the best ever. Think about the fact that she is about to be the all-time leading scorer ever. Men's and women's college basketball. Now, mind you, Pete Maravich did it in 3 years and he averaged 44 points a game, but that's beside the point. Still, now I'm not putting an asterisk. Still, that is an accomplishment. All time ever, men's and women's. Oh, yes, she's got to be. Yeah, come on. There's no way she's not one of the best ever. And she clutch.
Yeah, as Dante about to show us right here.
Clutch time. My bad, John. Give me 1 sec.
That's okay.
We have it.
But y'all, they'll understand the clutches that we're talking about.
Why is it in slow motion?
I don't know, but she stepped back from the logo, man.
Slow motion for me.
She did a step back from the logo at the buzzer to win the game.
But
not only is she a great scorer, she's a great passer and a great rebounder for a guard.
She's also about 5'11", 6 foot too. So
6 foot under league. 6 foot under league.
So
now we'll shut it down.
I'm just saying. Well, I mean, I think.
Whoa.
I didn't necessarily realize, honestly, how when they would say that a woman was 5'10" or 5'11", I never really kind of realized it until my sister-in-law, loved Desiree to death. My sister-in-law is is seriously 6 foot. And it's not till you stand next to her that you be like, ooh, Desiree, you're tall. So when you think about the average woman, that's still tall. So she's, it's not necessarily unexpected that if she put her mind to rebounding that, she can rebound, as well.
Hold on, Victoria. Before you mention that, I don't know if you caught what Rodney said. He could take down Caitlin Clark. Did you get that? You missed that. Caitlin Clark, you, Rodney. Shout out to the 6 foot under leagues of the world. Caitlin Clark would ball you, Rodney.
I didn't miss it. I ignored it.
Oh, okay. That's why I hit the rewind. What did Rodney just say?
I'm not listening to Rodney. I said we would shut her down. That means both of us.
No.
Shut her down.
Don't try to put me in your nonsense.
Right.
I'm gonna be Hold on, D. You know that was what we did. We shut down whoever had the ball. That was our job.
But how bad would we look? 3 grown men, 3 men, triple team and one Caitlin Clark. So I guess Rodney, that's how great Clark is, that it would take the 3 of us to stick one Caitlin Clark. So quit saying we. No, I'm gonna be there snapping the pictures of you getting your ACL torn, trying to stick Caitlin Clark when she pulls up and half court from 3
right now.
So, but anyway,
not a trip right now. I got bad back, bad knees, bad ankle, bad shoulder. You name it, it's bad.
But shout out to Caitlin Clark.
This is exactly why I ignored him.
Yeah. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. She's a straight baller.
Oh, man, come on.
So my answer to the question is without a doubt. I haven't seen male or female, a lot of players that do the things that she does on a basketball court. Just flat out. She is definitely one of the greats. She can shoot.
I did want to make one other point on that, Rod.
Go ahead.
You just brought something up. In the comparison, although female, but what she's able to do and what we've seen, I can literally call her the female version of Steph Curry. Because she, like I said, she's not tall like Steph Curry as a guard. When he came out of college or whatever, he was basically a shooting guard. They had him at point guard, but she can shoot. She can distribute the ball, like you said. That's what I said. She's the female version of a Steph Curry, and not even in the WNBA yet. So if we're talking about Caitlin Clark as one of the best ever, definitely. But for what I've seen from her in college as a shooter and everything else she does, she's going to be lights out in the WNBA.
I honestly see the comparison in terms of skill set, game, all of that. However, Steph Curry is not short. He's 6'3". Can we stop with that?
I'm not. No. I didn't say anything about Steph Curry's height. I said I used the comparison to his skill set, shooting, point guard shooters, and everything else. Nothing about the height. I even mentioned with her being part of the 6 foot and under league and being able to do what she does. I'm talking about her skill set is just phenomenal.
But yeah, no, I agree. But at 6 foot, she's not short in the WNBA.
I understand that.
That's not short at all.
I understand that. I'm talking about us.
Right. No,
we're the 6 foot and under. Right. That's what I'm saying. The 6 foot and under.
Like I said, my sister-in-law's tall, so I get it. But I just hate that. And then I remember, all the time I be having cats, in class. Because Steph Curry, a little man, he's 6'3". Like, how tall are you? Where are you getting this from? So
right.
I mean,
he's not little. He's just
even for back in the day, even if we're looking at this as positionless basketball, okay, then okay, he's short. But if we start talking about positions, how many point guards back in the day were 6'3"? That's tall. That would have been considered tall. Stockton 6'1", Isaiah 6 foot,
5'11".
Cooley, all of them cats. The point guard was always kind of the shortest dude. So he's 6'3". People kill me with that because he's a legit 6'3". But anyway, so
for everybody that don't know, Dorian lives out. He's in the Bay Area, so he's a huge.
I hate people trying to lump themselves in with us, and they're not one of us.
We're gonna get to talk about your Golden State Warriors a little bit later. But this is quick blurbs. We're moving on, right? Being short. Hey, since Dorian already hyped up Rodney, we might as well put this up there. You know his feelings about Michigan.
Talk about this one.
Yeah, since he already hyped. Please.
I'm pretty sure all of our fans, they understand that Dorian does not like the University of Michigan.
What's his expression, Rod?
But guess what?
Michigan.
Congratulations to the University of Michigan for winning the NCAA College Football National Championship. They are well deserving, even with or without the controversy. They took on all comers. They beat all comers. The NCAA tried the playoff committee tried to stack the deck, thinking that Alabama was going to beat them. They came in and beat Alabama in overtime. Mind you, it was overtime. And then a Washington team that beat University of Texas the week prior. Michigan came in and they say when quarterbacks have trouble with the rough that they're seeing with the rush, they're seeing ghosts, and that's what was happening in that game. The Washington quarterback was seeing ghosts. What's his name? D? Dang, it's escaping me right now. Michael Penix was seeing ghosts. He was seeing all kinds of ghosts. The Michigan defense was smothering, and that's one of the things that you have to give them credit for. Their defense was one of the best defenses in the last 25 years. I think the only defense that they said gave away fewer points was that was it the LSU defense when LSU won? Yeah, it was the LSU defense with
Girl in them.
When what's his name was there? When Spears.
Marcus Spears. Okay.
When Marcus Spears then won. That was the only defense that was under Saban. That was under Saban.
Les Miles didn't win a
he won at LSU. Yeah, he won at LSU after, but the defense. I'm talking about the defense.
Okay.
Defense giving up points. So congrats to Michigan.
Yep.
It's gonna be insufferable here because I will have to admit Michigan fans are very insufferable. I live here, so I can let you know that it's gonna be crazy, and they're gonna hold this. As much as I love my Cowboy fans, Michigan fans are pretty similar because they're gonna hold this one championship for the next 30 years and keep referring back to this one championship, even though they may not win another one for another 30 years. But hey,
like it's like the Desmond Howard days. But I got a quick one quick point. Y'all see the question going across there. Congratulations, Jim, but that 15-0 season still may have an asterisk. So my question is,
asterisk, man.
No. This is a joke. No, but the question is, Rodney, will Connor Stallion get a national championship ring?
Won't even sniff it. He won't even sniff, bro. They are so far removed from Connor Stallion. He can't even come to the state of Michigan no more. That's how far they pushed him away. He won't even step. He won't even come across the border. Even if he try to come from Canada, he ain't getting over here. They have no. They have no love for that brother whatsoever. He brought the stain on the team. Even whether they knew about it or not, that's a different story. But they got him in witness protection, man. He's so far away from this place. You ain't never hear about Connor Stallion in this state again.
Let me say,
go ahead, Ryan.
Let me say that in no way does Michigan winning a national championship diminish my complete and utter disdain for the University of Michigan. I hate Michigan. I hope y'all go 0-ever. I hope y'all never win another game. I've been to a game in the big house, and y'all are horrible. Michigan fans are terrible. They are arrogant. If I never hear that theme song, that Hail to the Victor ever again, it will be the happiest day in my life. The only people I hate worse than Michigan, and I don't even know if I hate them worse than Michigan, is the Steelers. I hate.
I thought it was these guys, Dorian.
No, that's me. That's me.
The Steelers of Michigan are right along the same, but I hate the University of Michigan. I hope that the trophy falls some kind of way. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to diminish that bad. I don't want to say that because you should be proud of winning, but it does not in any way give me any more respect for you than I've ever had because y'all now have a national championship. Now it just
congratulations, Jim Harbaugh.
No, I'm not congratulating y'all, and I hope Harbaugh goes to the NFL. And
now it's time for
Rodney game ever again in your miserable lives. Okay.
Y'all see, this boy hates Michigan. He won't shut up about Michigan. But anyway, now it's time for Rodney's rant. In the team,
I don't have a rant. I don't have a rant.
Well, Rodney, go ahead. This is your head.
But so what I will say is,
there has to be a winner and there was a loser.
Yesterday, Nick Saban, the coach of the University of Alabama, officially retired from his position. So now I can actually like Nick Saban and give him the props that he deserves because he is one hell of a coach. He won 7 national championships? 6 at Alabama, 1 at LSU. One of the winningest coaches in NCAAA football history. Great coach. Deserving of all the praise that he gets now. However, prior to retiring yesterday, he was the coach of the University of Alabama, who I completely despise. I cannot stand Alabama. Like Doran is with Michigan, that's how I am with Alabama. I hate Alabama. There is nothing that Alabama can ever do that will get me to start liking them. Even if they hired the greatest president in the history of this world to become their football coach, Barack Obama, I would still hate Alabama. I can't stand Alabama. And it goes back to the Bear Bryant days when I was a baby. So since then, I haven't liked them. I still don't like them. Ding dong, that witch is dead. And right now, because Saban is leaving, I don't care who they get, they're not going to have the same success they had when Saban was there. There's a lot of factors. One of the reasons that Saban decided to retire was because he didn't want to deal with the NIL and the transfer portal, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But because of that, because all these players are now seeing Alabama as not the number one place to go right now, Alabama is going to start to fall, which is great for me. I love that. They're not going to win another championship. I don't ever want them to win nothing. And guess what? My nephew is a freshman at the University of Alabama, and he knows it. My sister knows it. I hate Alabama. I will never like Alabama. I don't care who goes to Alabama. Alabama is dead to me. They are dead.
Carlos Graham, I endorse this message from Rod.
Malik. What's going on, Malik?
Shout out Carlos Graham.
Shout out
down there in Alabama.
With that being said,
I endorse Rod's message.
Again, congratulations to Nick Saban on having a wonderful career. Once we get to the coaches, I got a conspiracy theory that I'm gonna throw out there, but we'll get to that too. But yeah, ding dong, that witch is dead. Amen. Let's go.
Let's keep it moving. Well, with that being said, after the playoffs and everything, how many bowl games did you gentlemen watch? I'm gonna be honest with you. Of all the 38, 36, I don't know. I watched 3, maybe 4. I watched 3.5 bowl games from the Christmas break to the national championship game. So obviously I watched the semifinal games of the national championship. And I think it was like the FCS championship I watched, like Montana against somebody. Yeah, they were even part of the bowl games. Right, that's a whole different playoff. So I watched 3.5 bowl games this year, Rodney. So as your question states, what's the future of the bowl games? And I think that question is kind of broad. I think we should say, what's the future of all the other bowl games that are part of the top 5 rotation?
Well, so beginning next year, the playoff is going to go from 4 teams to 12 teams. So now you're going to have more of these bowls that are actually going to be relevant again. To answer your first question, how many bowl games did I actually watch? It depends on what watching actually means, because the TV may have been on. I don't know how much of the games I actually watched, but I did have the TV on.
Well, Nielsen ratings catches you by clicking on, and they track how long you watch. So you watch long enough.
So they got me, because I turned the game on because there's actually absolutely nothing else going on in the middle of the day. All these games were at like 3:00 in the afternoon.
10 o'clock in the morning out here.
Pop-Tart Bowl. What was it? Was something Pop-Tart Bowl? All these different crazy bowls,
bro.
They were on something,
bro,
at all kinds of crazy times. So the TV was on. But as far as the question, what's the future of the bowls? Like I said, you're gonna have a couple more bowls that will be relevant, because they're gonna be like the quarterfinal, semifinal games again. So they will be relevant. But the purpose of the bowl games was to give teams a reward for having a good season. But now because of so many bowl games, now they're rewarding 6 and 6 teams, and in some cases they get rewarded for being 5 and 7 because they don't have enough 6 and 6 teams to take the slots. So now it's the value of those bowl games have gone away. For the coaches, is great because they get to have a whole month of practice with their players. They get one more month of practice with their players, so they love it. But as far as like ESPN, if I'm ESPN, I'm not paying for a bowl game where there's like 200 people in the stands in Idaho.
Well, that's why they don't have bowl games in Idaho.
That's just crazy to me.
They did. They used to be in Boise, the Idaho Potato Bowl.
They got the Idaho Potato Bowl.
Well, that was a great, but Boise was a great team, which was very deserving, and they had the unique field. Remember, the blue field was unique. That's why they made the field blue to get bowl games there.
Now, for me, the thing that I'll tell you what's interesting, Nash. Now, you talk about your BPS. Now, I remember how that conversation came about because me, you, and T-Bo was sitting in the living room having this conversation long time ago about the bowls. This is before they did the BCS, I think, even right.
1998.
Yeah,
we were sitting at 998 North 89th Street,
East St. And we were having this conversation, and I remember us talking about a playoff and how there was too many bowl games, but how the way that they could make these bowls mean something was to put them as part of a tournament or whatever. That was kind of where our whole conversation was going. And you end up taking it and streamlining it and actually coming up with an actual plan and how all that, stuff worked or whatever. You did all the logistics, but I remember us having that conversation. And so now the thing is, that's almost kind of what it's turning into, where like Rodney was saying, these bowl games are now going to become more relevant, because now the Citrus Bowl, which has been one of the bigger bowls, is now going to be a part of the playoff. And at some point, the Citrus Bowl, they're going to probably allow them to be able to bid to become the championship game, or like maybe one of the Final Four or whatever, that kind of thing. So it won't just be the Orange Bowl and the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and ones that'll get involved. But I think that what's going to happen is,
I'm glad you brought that up, Dorian. I might as well just throw it up there just to give you guys a snippet. I've talked about it all year, but yeah, folks. In 1998, I literally designed the first college football playoff system. So everything Dorian is basically mentioning here is something I worked on. I used to go all over nationally on national radio shows to talk about what was needed. And that was a 16-team playoff. This is from some of my old archives from my old website that I used to have. But what Dorian is talking about, for instance, with how bowls being used, that was the top tier rotation, which we already see has been played in using the top 5 bowls or whatnot.
Because remember, back then they had the Blue Bonnet Bowl.
Yeah, they had all kind of bowls. So that was a snippet of the playoff games, how many games there were, how the bowls would be used. As a matter of fact, when I designed this, the Cotton Bowl, I actually included the Cotton Bowl into this because this was right around the time Jerry was getting ready to build Jerry's Dome, which only made sense. So Jerry was going to get in there. I even had a payout schedule for it so that the TV networks, you basically should earn your money as you go. So this goes to show you, this was from 2004, just to show you what the bowls were paying out. That's what bowls were paying out back then. It's obviously gotten ridiculous in this days. I even had the playoff schedule. When back in the day, they said, oh, the kids don't have time for a playoff, it's Christmas holiday, or taking finals. Well, lo and behold, look what we have. So everything Dorian is talking about, I did this a long time ago, folks. And just to say, let me clear that out of there. I'm actually we're going to talk about this some more as we get into the playoffs, Rodney, as it starts next year, which talks about the bowls. There are going to be bowls eliminated. Unfortunately,
good.
Every college that's not part of the Power 4 now, because it's not part of the Power 5, it's only 4 now. They will no longer be eligible to be played in the playoffs when it all narrows down. So the future of the bowls is basically going to boil down to you're not going to need any more than 10 bowl venues. And even the bowl venues, they're going to have to enter into a lottery to even be able to participate to host a bowl. So I've had this for years, but this is supposed to be part of a quick blurb. We're going to talk about this more in depth as we move closer to next year in the college season to see how they're going to work out the playoff system. Because Rodney, Dorian, remember, these conferences got to figure out how they're going to realign their conferences with all the new additions of the teams. That's something you don't even hear being discussed. The balance and imbalance of the new conference schedules in the new Power 4. So with the new Power 4, you basically got 64 teams in college football, the new Power 4 system, when 16 should be making the playoffs and not 12. They're just because of their contract, which doesn't expire. That's why they're doing 12, but it's going to go to 16.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think they're going to end up expanding. It only makes sense to at some point expand it, unless they're still trying to give a team a bye or something like that. Other than that,
14, the top 14
that's how the 12 is going to work.
But it's like, but the thing is when you talk about, well, then what that does too is it going back to what Rodney was saying, but then also getting into what you were talking about as well, Dante, what you were just talking about, is that where you had now these 6-6 teams or whatever. Well, two things come into this that I think about from what you're saying. So one, all of these 6-6 teams and 7-5 teams or whatever that was going and playing in the Gasparilla Bowl and the Camellia Bowl and I watched them. Why? Because I was in Bowl Mania.
Well, keep on, and we know where you was at.
So I watched, right. But anyway, but my point is as you were saying, Dante, they're not going to be necessary anymore because now people are going to be watching the playoff games. Mm-hmm. So, but they're still going to be Division I. So now are those same Division I schools that aren't making this big tournament now, are they going to start something like the NIT?
That's actually, excuse me.
We're kind of
that's
like
actually
where
college football is going.
We're kind of like the FCS has their thing, but then now you're gonna have this quote kind of NIT tournament or whatever, which is kind of an interesting thought. But also to get back to the point of the bowls. So now that you have all of these teams, do you really want to have these bowl games? Because when you look at FCS or the other ones, they have home games before they make it to the venues. So do you still want to continue to do these to always have these neutral site games when it comes to this playoff system? Because even at the high school level, the teams, the better teams get the home games and that kind of thing. So do you want to do that? Or do you all think that this will generate, that this playoff system will generate enough revenue that they'll be able to sell out the quarterfinal games and then the semifinal games and so on and so forth? Or is it going to turn out to be like, is the first round game going to turn out to be like the Quick Lane Bowl? Because maybe that particular team, Northwestern, plays in the Rose, in some crazy bowl that Northwestern fans can't get to. Who else is going to go to the games? So, because the thing about the bowl games has always been half the field is one side fans and the other half is the other side. Well, all of these teams that might make it may not travel like that. So do you want to continue with these kind of, you see what I'm getting at with that kind of thing? So,
and hey, we're going to hold that. We're going to table that because that just goes deep when it comes to the playoffs. We can literally talk about this the whole segment for an hour and a half at the scenario on that. But let's table that, gentlemen, because this is going to get deep. But one other thing Dorian brought to us, speaking of the future of the bowls, what's the future of this young man coming into college? Explain this to our fans, Dorian. This messed me up when you put this up.
He's a young man whose name is Noah Knigga. From Lawrenceville.
Wait. How do you pronounce his name? What did you say?
Knigga. It's Knigga.
Noah Knigga. He's from Lawrenceville, Indiana, I believe, and he's I don't know if he's a 4-star or 3-star, but he 2-star recruit. Oh, no, he's 4-star in 2 sports. Oh, he's 4-star in 2 sports, so he's good. And so it just becomes this thing of, it becomes comical. You're right. See, there you go. It becomes comical because of that, right? But at the same time, I think it's crazy how that becomes comical, and because of how significant the word nigga has become in the American lexicon, how now this young man's given name becomes an issue, whether we think about it as funny or not, where we've seen some people make fun of it. We've seen the memes, we've seen the comments on Twitter and Instagram and so on and so forth. But with the kind of racial connotations that we have in this country, which is what makes this funny, right? how is that now going to affect these people on TV and so on and so forth, who now have to, because obviously the young man is good. If he's 4-star in 2 sports, he's going to play something that people are going to pronounce his name. And what kind of controversy is this going to cause?
I got a solution. He should get "He Hate Me" on the back of his jersey. Y'all remember that? That is a very interesting dilemma, quagmire, and all them big words, Professor. But right, I think it's great for marketing in the time and age we live in. Like you said, society where you hear it everywhere is interesting. But it's his name. This is going to be interesting. So I think he's not going to change his name, his God-given name. I think the bigger question is, gentlemen, will the potential school that he ends up going to, will they try to approach him and ask him to change his name?
Well, so the changing his name part is just not going to happen.
Why not? World be free and all that other stuff.
You're not going to make me change my name.
That would be awesome. You have a college player do like your boy from Indiana.
You're not going to make me change my name.
I've never seen a college player change his name. What was your boy name? Ron Artest? Change his name?
What
I've
they
never
are going to
seen
do,
a college player change his name. That would be awesome.
I'm going to tell you what the announcer's going to do. They're going to call him by his first name. They're not even going to call him by his last name. They don't want to make that. They don't even want to make that mistake because eventually,
that's my point, Rodney. He's going to need a nickname. So if you're going to have a nickname, you like Ron Artest.
Like the K is silent in night.
Right.
They're gonna make that Kalen silent in his name also.
Oh, so then you got
some people that
me and Dorian were talking about that. You can't make that K silent. I think you'd be better off doing like Ron Artest.
What they do before each game is they go through a whole roster and they learn all the different players' names and make sure that they can pronounce them correctly. But there's going to be a slip up, and the thing is, whoever's the first person to make that slip up is going to lose their job first off, because you're going to have people that say, "Well, he tried to do it on purpose," right? But I mean, it's a situation where how can you blame the brother? How can you blame him if he does make a slip up, or sister, or whatever?
Well, I liked it. Well, again, I don't think he should have to change his name. Actually, Dante, World Be Free did not change his name. That's his name. His name is Lloyd.
I was trying to think of what Ron Artest changed his name to.
The Meta World Peace. Yeah,
Meta World Peace. Yeah, World Peace, World Be Free. Yeah, Meta World Peace.
Yeah, for a long time I thought World Be Free had changed his name, but it wasn't the case at all. But anyway, so
his name was Lloyd Free.
His name is Lloyd Bernard Free, but all his boys used to say he was so good that he was all world. So they used to call him World. Yeah. So that's how it became World Be Free. But anyway, so I think it's extremely disrespectful to try to ask him to change his name. So I would condemn anybody asking him to do that. I think what it does is it becomes very you talk about people making that mistake. Well, now we've also gotten into this time where you have to make sure that you don't make that mistake.
Yep.
No matter how much we try, and again, like you say, I think that they're going to try to get around it by just saying his first name, or something of that nature. They may end up coming up with a nickname. Dante, it may come out of the air or whatever. But it will be very interesting. I agree with you all. I think it will be leave me be. I think it will
be free. Leave me be.
I think it will be very interesting to see what people are going to do or how they're going to approach it. But I think that if you're an announcer, it is incumbent upon you to make sure that you pronounce this young man's name correctly.
Do your job. You
know what?
Do your job.
We can keep moving, guys. If I'm an announcer, like Rod said, and like the announcers do, they study their names. They'll go approach the gentleman and everything. If I'm the announcer, out of respect, like each of y'all have said, I'm going to go to Mr. Noah and ask him myself, what should I call you tonight? I think that's the best way to approach that.
If you can figure out how to pronounce Antetokounmpo,
right,
you can learn how to say
you can figure out Knigga.
Hey, and but to that point, that's where everybody calls him Giannis. They call him by his first name.
And the thing is, has anyone even asked him? Is that how it's actually pronounced?
What, Giannis or Knigga?
Noah.
I don't know what to call him, Mr. Knigga.
Yeah, that's how they knew that the K wasn't silent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, we're gonna have to hashtag Mr. Noah and see if he likes any of our recommendations. Mr. Noah, I'm gonna look you up. I want your new name. If you have to change it to be Leave Me Be.
I don't have a recommendation other than keep your name. I don't know if that's a recommendation.
Somebody gonna get fired.
Make people have respect for you. I've always kind of hated when people do that, particularly like from people from other countries come over here. Mm-hmm. And as Americans, we refuse to learn how to call them by their given name. So we call them something else. They become Mike or James. I'll just call you Hank. No, learn how to pronounce that person's name. Have enough respect for them to learn how to pronounce their name. Okay.
Speaking of pronouncing names.
Bad segue.
This was big. Great segue.
That's a bad segue.
That's a good segue.
Anyway,
you can't mispronounce prime time. And speaking of prime time, from last week, quick blurb, fellas, did y'all see this? He got his big dogs. He got the big dogs. Hall of Fame coaching staff. What y'all think about this, gentlemen?
Is that Mr. T? Oh, that's one side.
Hey, is that our guy right there? Is that Dudes? Oh, no, that's Ed Reed. I'm like, where Dudes at? Dudes supposed to be on the show with us. Oh, but no, that's Ed Reed. My bad. Shout out to Dudes who couldn't make it with us again tonight, y'all. But that kind of like Dudes.
This is what I will say to all of this. All right. This year is Deion's put up or shut up season.
Mm-hmm.
Because
new conference.
Because of all of the hype that he had last year, he's going out. As he said, you disagree, but as he said, he's going out. He didn't. He's getting the groceries. He got all these different recruits to come in. He got all these Hall of Fame, 3 Hall of Famers that's gonna come in and coach his team. I don't know if they're gonna be full-time coaches or if they just, part-time coaches. I don't know exactly how that what their role is gonna be. But you bringing all these people in there. You got to perform. You got your son still is your quarterback. You still got the wide receiver cornerback. That's a 5-star recruit. You still got him. You bringing in 5-star offensive linemen, both through the transfer portal and through the signing period. So you bringing all these people in there. Deion got to do something. And the reason I say that, D, is because Deion has been talking about this for so long. And I want him to win. I want him to go into that Big 12 and kill everybody that's in there. That's what I want him to do.
So
they got to perform. You bringing all these big dogs in here, you got to perform now.
Right, you just mentioned some things. I see while Dorian's looking up to Jesus, he pulling up some stats. One of the things you just alluded to and hit on that I wanted to talk about, you see 3 defensive Hall of Famers. And yeah, we know Colorado had big problems on the defensive side, but he's been talking about, I need the big dogs up front on the offensive line. Because remember, his son got beat up. What Deion hasn't done is go out there and get a big name or high profile offensive coach. And shout out to my man Ocho Cinco, because Ocho has been pleading to go coach, be assistant coach to help Prime, because he doesn't have anybody on the offensive side of the ball. So for me, if you're gonna go get all these Hall of Famers, go get a Hall of Famer on the offensive side of the ball. Whether it be a wide receiver coach like an Ocho, go get a retired old black quarterback. If you're gonna go all out, go all out. And that's what I wanted to put out there. Because all these guys, your guys, like you can say it, this is year to put up or shut up. in a new 2024 Big 12 conference where you just killed it in the transfer portal and everything else, there should be no excuses whatsoever for you to not make one of these mediocre bowl games that we just talked about at 6-6 or whatever, which you guys missed this year because of failures and lapses in your defense. So I guess that's why he went this way. But remember, he always talked about, I need big dogs, protect my son. So that's what I'm waiting on. Dorian.
Go ahead, D.
So one, I think that you notice the commonality in all of this is they all on defense, but they all Florida boys. All of these cats, they all from Florida. Deion, Prime.
Ocho from Florida too. Get Ocho over there.
But in terms of if you look at who he got here, he got the great. Interestingly enough, they all went to Miami. And he went to
baby. And he went to Florida State.
That's interesting that he went and got him. But
that's why I put that up there, Dorian.
He might have some more stuff, coming, some more coaches or whatever are coming. However, I must say that I disagree with you both in that this is the put up or shut up year for him.
Yeah, he got his contract, but
I don't think. But my thing is that he did better. Understand that he took over a 1-12 team, right? Even so, last year, he did very well coming out the start. Nobody expected him to win that game against TCU after they had, TCU had just come out of the national championship game, so on and so forth. Nobody expected them to win those first 3 games that they won, right? People really expected them to lose 2 out of those 3 because 2 out of TCU and then somebody else was a ranked opponent. But then also we forget how good the Pac-12 ended up being. We didn't think the Pac-12 was going to be that good. Well, they ran into a juggernaut because remember we did this. We did this on the show. We looked at the stats. Said, okay, well, what's their next 2 games? Well, man, I don't know. They not gonna beat Washington. They're not gonna beat Oregon. They're not gonna beat. So we went through all of those and was like they gonna get killed in these next few games. So we didn't necessarily expect them to be good this year because it was his first year in Colorado. He was building. We were all very surprised. So I think that to all of a sudden now be saying this in just his second year is a little much.
What I'm saying, Dorian, I see what you're going with. I shouldn't say a total fade, but what I'm saying is with this new addition to his coaching staff, they better make a bowl game. At least go 7-5. Not like Rodney was saying, be 5-6. Just adding these guys to your coaching staff should be a 1 more game win improvement than like we just talked about the games that they should have lost anyway, this year. But next year, this should add 1 more game win, to their resume to qualify for a bowl game. That's what I'm saying. Taking small steps. So if they don't qualify for a bowl game next year with this staff, like Rodney said. So Rodney, your take.
What is to push back on that? Yeah, you add Warren Sapp, Ray Lewis, and Ed Reed. Those are 3 Hall of Fame players, some of the greatest players to ever do to play in their positions. But how good of a coach are they? Ed Reed didn't he didn't even coach at Bethune. Ray Lewis has never coached. Warren Sapp came in and gave the defense some pep talks last year. But look how good that was. So to just put them out there doesn't mean that they're going to be a great team because they got these 3 names. Magic Johnson was an absolute tragedy as a basketball coach. But Magic Johnson might be the best point guard unless you consider Steph.
Apples and oranges. We're going to get to basketball in a minute, Rodney. We know where you're going to go.
But my point is, just because you're a great player does not mean you can be a great coach.
I totally agree with you.
And to just go out there and get the names, and say, "Oh, we gonna do it," that just don't do it for me. Go ahead, D.
Yep.
Well, and also I'm looking at Colorado's schedule next year.
What did it look like
in the Big 12? Okay. Now, mind you, to buttress my point about we're talking about now a guy in his second year at a school with I don't know how many players. I know Dante might know how many players from the transfer portal. So you got new cats coming into a new system with new coaches, and
all gelling together.
Next year they play at Nebraska.
Woo, tough.
They'll win.
They play at Colorado State.
Tough rivalry game again. A game they should have lost this year.
They play at Arizona. This is the first. I
got him at 0-3 already. I got him at 0-3 right. I'm counting.
The first game that they play is North Dakota State.
Oh, wait, go back. So start with their first schedule, Dory. I thought it was somebody else.
The first game is North Dakota State.
Okay, they should win that.
I don't know. Because
I said should.
That's where Jordan Love came from.
See, I went
east. Or was that South Dakota State? No, the Bison.
It was North.
All right, so anyway, here we go. First game, North Dakota State.
Okay, maybe.
Second game at Nebraska.
That's a loss. They
third game at Colorado State.
They 1-2.
Fourth game at Arizona.
They're 1-3.
Then they home against Utah.
1-4.
Then they at home against Baylor.
That's gonna be a shootout. So we'll defer to that. So 1-4.
Then they're at home against Oklahoma State.
1-5.
Then they're at home against Kansas State.
Okay, 2-5, maybe 2-3 and 5.
At home against the Cincinnati Bearcats. They should beat the Bearcats because your boy ain't there no more.
Okay, we'll give you a win. 3
and
5.
Then they go. Then they're at Kansas.
Kansas was tough this year.
4 and 5.
But then they're at Texas Tech and then at UCF.
4 and 6.
4 and
7. I got them at 4 and 7, not counting the game. On the Kansas,
and
they ain't gonna make a bowl game next year.
This is why I say it's Deion's put up a shut up season.
Exactly, Rodney.
It's because he's the one that opened his mouth. He's the one that wrote those checks, and now he's gonna have to pay them checks because he's the one that came in talking about
I'm bringing my luggage with me, Louis.
I'm bringing my luggage. I'm doing all that. He's the one that did all that. It wasn't most coaches, and Deion. No, don't get me wrong. Deion ain't most coaches. And again, I want him to win. He ain't. I'm rooting for him just as much as I root against Alabama. So I'm rooting for Deion. I want him to succeed because that would be great. That'd be a great story. However, when you come in and you got that much what's the word? Bravado. Bravado.
Robbie, it's not spaghetti, Rodney. It's not bravioso.
It sounded good. It sounded good coming out of my mouth.
No, it did not sound good.
Let me finish my point. You look, I'm about to make me have some FCC violations here. But when he comes out and he's writing all these checks, making all these promises, telling everybody what he gonna do, this, that, and the other. When you don't put up, that's completely on you. That is completely on you. And the way that he coached this year, because they lost 7 games, 2 of those games they could have won if not for bad coaching decisions by him alone.
Yep.
So, like I said, again, I'm not saying he gonna win the national championship. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this is going to be a pivotal year for him because he has gone out and got his groceries. He has gone out there and got all the coaching, all his friends to come in and help him coach, right? As much as we talk about Dante, talk about nepotism, that's exactly what he did. He went out there and got his friends to come in and coach. Coaches that have never done anything.
Hey, hold on, Rodney. One thing with that. When it's going to come out of nepotism, though, I guess we talk about that nepotism in the Good Old Boys Network all the time.
He got his own Good Old Boy Network.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't want to be a hypocrite because we talk about hypocrisy.
No hypocrisy here.
No hypocrisy in here, as Rob would say. because I talk about it all the time in the NFL and even college. So I don't want to be a hypocrisy and say the same thing, and not say the same thing about Deion, which is why I agree with Rodney. And basically, I'm finna hire Dabner there. I'm finna hire Rod because they're my boys. But I know my boys don't do this particular thing or they haven't done this. And that's what that comes down to. And we're going to all look like fools. And that's what happened to Herm Edwards out here at ASU. Because his buddy hired him. He brought in his buddies. And you see where ASU is as far as their football program. That's what happens when you bring on your guys that played in the NFL. So let ASU and Herm Edwards administration be a perfect example Colorado of what potentially could happen. But on that note, Rod, speaking of all these teams and everybody moving and breaking up.
Like the Fat Boys, first the Fat Boys break up, now this.
What's going on with these legacies? We talked about all the playoffs expanding. We're talking about these conferences changing, the transfer portals. Guys, is Oklahoma State, remember back in the day, Colorado could have, been considered kind of like a blue blood in football. Kansas, obviously, in basketball. They just came on to football. What's going on with blue bloods, fellas?
What was his name? Rick Neuheisel? Was that the coach of Colorado?
Oh, yeah, from Colorado, yeah.
Yeah, football. Colorado had a legacy at that particular time. Rick Neuheisel was at UCLA first.
He came over.
The top of the Big 12, or they were the Big 10 at that time. I'm sorry.
The Big 8.
The Big 8 at that time.
The Big 8. That was when Nebraska was in the Big 8. Nebraska, Oklahoma, Colorado.
Man, Colorado had some players. Man, they had
Kansas State, Oklahoma State.
Who was the brother quarterbacks Colorado had that year? Them years, Dorian. I can see his face.
His number was 4.
Did he go to Pittsburgh?
Eric Bieniemy played on that.
I'm talking about the quarterback though.
Cordell Stewart.
Cordell Stewart. Yes, Cordell Stewart.
Well, they had Cordell Stewart. Then they had the cat that came behind Cordell Stewart. Was it Charles Johnston? I think was his name. And then they had Bieniemy. They had Rashawn Salam. Remember, Rashawn Salam won the Heisman.
He won the Heisman.
Colorado had a night that they got that 5th down against Missouri.
Yes, Missouri. Yep.
That 91 team was pretty good.
So here's my question.
Remember, they was co-national champions with Washington.
So here's my question as far as killing these legacies. Now that all these teams are moving, like USC, has their legacy in their championships been diminished in college football? We'll talk about UCLA and basketball. Now that they're joining the Big Ten, when you have all the legacy in the Big Ten, like during Michigan and everybody else, is all this being diminished because of all this conference swamping and everything else in any particular sport? What do you guys think about it? And give me your examples of a sport or the teams and where you see this at. Because like North Carolina basketball, we're just we're a blue blood, but the talent is spread out all over the place, especially in basketball. In football, we've even come up. So for North Carolina to come up in a football program, that means somebody else has to fall, and vice versa. So who do you guys think of when it comes as far as the legacies and what's causing all this? Where are they going?
So to me, football, the reasons for football and the reason for basketball are different. In basketball, the fall of the Blue Bloods started with these one and dones. When the NBA went to, you had to spend 1 year in college.
Yeah, that's a good point. Great point.
Because of that, before they put that rule in, institute that rule, a player that's in high school, a good player in high school wouldn't even attempt to go to college. So when you do your recruiting, you're recruiting someone that going to be there for at least 2 years. So now I got a chance to develop him, to get him ready, build a team around these players. Now, because you can go one and done, and most of the good players, the great players that are the one and dones, they're going to these schools for like 6 weeks. They're gonna go to class for the first 6 weeks, just so they can be eligible for the second semester, and then the second semester they're not even attempting to go to class because they know they're leaving
junior colleges
at the end of the season. So because of that, teams and now because the NBA is getting talent from everywhere, they're not just looking at your Dukes and your North Carolinas and the UCLA. They're looking at all these other colleges. Where did John go to? John went to it wasn't Tennessee State. What was it?
No, it wasn't Tennessee State. It was not more. Oh my God, I should know this. Because it's in SIU East Conference. I went to the game. I saw him play.
Hey, look that up, Dorian. Real quick, Roddy, while you're talking about that on that point.
Murray State.
On that point, before I lose my thought, Roddy, exactly where you're going. The NBA is looking elsewhere, like you said, in college basketball in particular. They're cheating, and they're always looking over at Europe because those guys are already professionals. When our kids over here are in college and have to stay, like you said, when they changed that rule. But back to what you were saying, Roddy. I just want to
you got the G League that's out there. The good players are going to the G League. You got now they're going overseas also and making them going to make their money. Even though now with the NIL, you really don't have to go over there. You can still do that stuff in college, but they don't want to do the schoolwork part. They'll do the basketball part, but they don't want to do the schoolwork part. But what that's doing is because now the talent can be spread out. Like I said, I don't have to go to Kentucky, and be one of 5 players that Calipari is recruiting. I can go to like decent Murray State, and I can be the best player at Murray State, and the NBA is going to notice me. And so now they don't even if they're not going to NBA, they may go play overseas because they want that money. So that's what's killing to me. It's the rules for the NBA, because that's where every player that plays basketball, the first thing they say is I'm going to the league. Every one of them, even though there's only 15 players on 30 teams, right? So every player that plays basketball think they're going to the league. Now,
but they're not lying, Rodney. They're not lying. Hey, G, part of G, you got to have league and G. They are going to the league. They just don't say which one. Right, Dorian, what's your legacy? What do you think is destroying dynasties?
I think that the I do believe that the transfer portal and NIL, I won't even say NIL, because really NIL should help the blue bloods because they got the most money.
That's true.
But what I would go back to, Rod, something different. I wouldn't say that even football, or probably more so now football, but back in the day, basketball, what really started that fall of the blue bloods was ESPN and all of the games that they started showing on television. Right now, I remember as a kid when ESPN first started in 1979, watching my grandmother's cable, pressing the button and staying on ESPN because sports was coming on all the time. Now, I say this to say that before cable and before ESPN, the only basketball we got came on CBS or NBC or whatever on Saturday. And the only teams that they showed were those blue bloods. They showed UCLA.
Notre Dame on NBC every Saturday.
Notre Dame on NBC. I grew up, again, why I hate Michigan in Ohio. I grew up watching Ohio State, watching the Earl Bruce show. But we only saw Ohio State, Michigan. We only saw Ohio State play the big names. The only reason I may have got a chance to see like UC or the Metro Conference with Louisville and them back in the day, and Memphis State with Keith Lee was because of where I live, we got a chance to see those games on local television. But I didn't know anything about Southwest Missouri State, that they had a basketball team. I didn't know anything about Southern Illinois University Edwardsville, who may have only been Division II or Division III at the time, but I didn't know about any of that kind of stuff. So when we were growing up, if you think about it, by the time we got to high school, and ESPN was showing games everywhere all the time during basketball, Big Monday, Super Tuesday, Big East Wednesday, we start seeing all kinds of teams. And then when they started doing, televising the tournament big time, and then we started watching those small tournaments, we learned about the Colonial League, and we learned about such. We learned, and so it was like, man, all of these other schools. So now the kids that kind of came up after us, and I make this point because sometimes it kind of hurts my heart a little bit when I think about this, to be honest with you. But we didn't learn about these other small schools until media.
Until what?
Until then, until the media, until they start broadcasting all of these games and all of these smaller leagues that we started learning about all these schools. I didn't know anything about.
I agree. Real quick on that. One other thing that you mentioned, for those that don't know, all of us in the same area, me and Dorian also attended, obviously, outside of the colleges that we proclaim and show, we attended Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. And Dorian, if you remember, that dynamic in itself, was that Missouri Valley Conference or something?
They were in the Missouri Valley and then moved to the Ohio Valley.
I'm talking about when we were there. So being in that small mid-major conference when we were at that school, that opened our eyes that we got to see all these other smaller schools like Dorian's talking about. Carbondale was a Division I. You know, that was the sister school of Edwardsville. So we got to see Carbondale. We got to see, like you said, SEMO, Southwest Missouri. Though these are our party schools too, but they were all mid-majors when you think about it. But going back to your point, Dorian, I want to cut you off, and that's where the media came in. So you're right.
You're completely, you know, making my point, you know, helping me make my point, I should say, because when I went to U of I, then I learned about Eastern, and that Eastern, you know, all this kind of Eastern and Western and all this kind of stuff. So I say that to say, you know, it kind of Northern, but you learn about all these other places in other places. Football too. We started learning about Southeast Louisiana State. You learn about Northeast Oklahoma. You learn about all these other places. So I say that to say, I later on as I got older, you know, I realized once I got to college, for example, you know, we talk about us playing basketball all the time. But, you know, I played with some guys that played Division I basketball, played with them on a regular basis. And I was never a liability on the court, even though I was short. Yeah, don't get me wrong. But I had cats that would come in the gym and would pick me and want me to play. And it wasn't until later when I got a chance, like when we played in those 6 foot under leagues and we played against BAC and we played against, you know, all these other cats in these other gyms, Rodney, and we was holding our own. And it made me realize, man, if I had known about Emporia State, you know, when I was in, you know, the 9th grade, maybe I would have kept playing, but I never thought I was going to make it to Ohio State or make it to Michigan because I wasn't 6'3", I wasn't 6'3" or whatever, but I could still play. Well, I could have played at NAIA. I could have played at one of those kind of schools and had somebody pay for my education. You know what I'm saying? But the media exposed all of that. So them kids started realizing, well, hey, I can't go to Michigan, but I can go to Southeast Louisiana. Hey, I can't go to such and such, but I can go this place. And so the blue bloods start diluting. This is why you get a Appalachian State that ends up beating a Michigan. Right. It's how you get a team, the number 16 seed in the NCAA tournament, who beats the number 1 seed in Virginia. You know, because cats was going and they was staying those years because they knew they weren't going to make it pro. So, hey, this is a way to get my education paid for. Let me go play. And so I think that it's all started even before you were talking about with this, with the media and really advertising all of these other games and all these other schools. ESPN had a lot to do with that because, to be honest with you, they were the first ones that started that on a national basis.
So on the last note, before we move on to our actual topics of discussion, for me,
good point.
For what is killing the legacy of blue bloods in college football, because you guys just expanded on basketball to the T, is all of the conference swapping that happened in mergers in college football is what's going to end, is what has ended the blue bloods to me in college football, because they're basically going to dilute themselves. But with that said, Rodney, where can everybody look us up before we get into our topics of discussion? It's been a long time. It's been over a year.
It's been a long time.
If you want to send us an email to send us a topic that you want us to discuss, send it to boogieblaming@gmail.com.
As I always say, he don't check the
mail. Dorian hates that email address. I don't, but you do. So, hey, send it there. Dante gonna look at it.
I'm gonna look at it. I'll reply, y'all.
You can also go to BIOTBpodcast.com. That's our website.
What's the most important thing, though, right?
Subscribe.
Click the button to subscribe. Click the button to like us. Click the button and get it. Did. Don't worry about that. I'm still going through puberty. Subscribe, like, and remember Brady Bunch when Peter was going through puberty.
It's 2024, y'all. We got a new goal. We need y'all to subscribe, hit that like button, and follow us. We're gonna every show we do, we need at least 20 of y'all every show. So what Rodney trying to say is, yeah, he still got Alzheimer's. We need y'all to start hitting that subscription button. Anyway, Rodney.
The song, everything must change or something. I'm gonna remember the song. I'm gonna remember the song. But right now, right now, what I'm remembering is something about my boy that we talked about so many times last year.
Hey, Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now?
Well, Ron is back in the news. And we gonna talk about your boy Ron because he done struck again. This time on D's favorite show, Pat McAfee show. Ron doing his regular Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday show. Maybe it is Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Okay. I don't watch. Dorian watches it, but I do have respect for Pat McAfee after he did this.
I don't know when. I don't know what day Aaron Rodgers is on there. I don't watch it that often to know what days Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be on there.
There's a couple of things that happened with Pat McAfee this week. The last week. The first thing was Ron. Ron stuck himself in the middle of something that he really had no business sticking himself in the middle of. And that was basically one of the news stories, the regular news stories is out there, is about Jeffrey Epstein and his list of people that were in his circle. Let's just say that was a judge was deciding whether or not he was going to put this list out. So in the midst of this list coming out, Ron made the comment on Pat McAfee's show that your boy Jimmy Kimmel, he couldn't wait to see Jimmy Kimmel's name on this list. With no he didn't have any evidence whatsoever that Jimmy Kimmel's name was going to be on this list. But he threw it out there anyway because why? Ron is a asshole. But Kimmel struck back and basically said, Aaron, keep my name out your mouth. And if you don't want to keep my name out your mouth, I'm going to sue you and I'm going to sue ESPN and I'm going to sue Pat McAfee. I'm suing all y'all. Right? Because that's one thing. Don't nobody want to be associated with Jeffrey Epstein right now. Especially somebody like Jimmy Kimmel. And Kimmel came out and said, man, I don't know Epstein. I've never known Epstein. I've spent no time with him. And for you to say some stuff like that, oh yeah, you better be ready for this lawsuit. All right, so that's the first thing. So the higher ups at ESPN, this happened on Tuesday. The higher ups at ESPN went to Pat McAfee. Now let's first got to talk about McAfee. So McAfee he negotiated his contract with ESPN. Didn't have an agent. It was just him and the bosses at ESPN. He negotiated that contract, and he gets like $17 million a year. But with that, he gets full executive producing rights on his show. So basically, he can do whatever it is he wants on his show, because that's what he did on cable, or not cable, on the internet.
That's how he got Aaron Rodgers on the show. Exactly.
That's how he got he get Aaron Rodgers. So and he comes in, he'll tell you that even though he's not one of my favorites, but he'll tell you, I do respect the fact that he speaks his mind. He doesn't care what you think about it one way or the other. And, they have he doesn't hold anything back. Be it comments, speech, whatever. He doesn't hold nothing back. So, but he knew, McAfee knew that what Aaron did was not,
kosher.
Let's just say kosher.
It wasn't kosher.
Yeah, it wasn't cool at all. So even though the higher ups came to McAfee and they talked about it, and told him, hey, look, this is what we want you to do. He came out the next day and he apologized for Aaron Rodgers. But apparently, in the midst of them coming to him, there was some other stuff that was said, that were done. And again, McAfee didn't hold no punches. He named names, saying that there were some executives at ESPN that was trying to sabotage his show.
Who? Norby Williamson?
One of the names he came out with was one Norby Williamson, an executive VP of production at ESPN. But not only did he throw that name out, you had other personalities, current and previous ESPN personalities, that also said the same thing about Norby Williamson, that he's out there trying to get folks, backstabbing people to let's just say it that way. Oh yeah, man. He's as they say, what is it? Wolf in sheep's clothing. That's what he is. Okay. But no, again, Pat McAfee don't hold nothing back. McAfee called him out, said, I don't care what happens. Basically, you ain't gonna talk about me and try to dog me out and me not say nothing. So now, Dante, I'm gonna leave it to you. Tell me
you summed it all up. A little bit before Dorian came on, we kind of talked about this, Rodney. And Dorian, and we're gonna have to all do a wife beater t-shirt episode in honor of Pat McAfee. I was telling Rodney, I gained respect for Pat McAfee in the fact that, like Dorian said, he called out the administration, executive VPs and all that. He called out white people. That's why I don't white crime. I was like, shout out Pat McAfee. I felt more relatable, so outside of just the white beater, he the real deal. And if Dorian would tell you, outside of one thing,
he a real nigga. Is that what you just said?
What's that?
You said he a real nigga.
I did not say that. I said he's the real deal. Oh, that's a good one, though, Rodney. I like how you threw that in there. That was hilarious. But on top of that, y'all know how I like to about fantasy league, and he was a kicker. So combining all three of those and seeing him calling out the gatekeepers, the administration, for what they are, and him basically coming out just recently saying, I'm kind of glad the marriage with, the contract with Aaron Rodgers is over with as well. So he can move on. That didn't work out as well. Being an executive producer, bringing whoever I wanted on was cool, but now he's learned from that. And now I'm just interested to see who's going to be the replacement to Aaron Rodgers to keep McAfee going. So that's one of the things I want to talk about. We're going to follow that into that with Aaron in the future. Dory.
Well,
go ahead,
no, I think that one of the things that becomes really important about this that people are also not maybe I don't want to say that people are not understanding, but for Aaron Rodgers, it's like, dude, do you realize how dangerous that is?
Mm-hmm.
When you start talking about, and Kimmel said you made it dangerous for my family, but and when I was looking up, I was like, man, didn't something happen with something like that around when they were talking about this whole thing? Jeffrey Epstein and this also children, and it was that Pizzagate thing where they were accused. Somebody said somebody was had a whole ring of this, with little kids and a pizza party.
You can't have a pizza party no more.
Didn't somebody get murdered behind that? Or
it's all kind of conspiracies, like I said. You damn can't have a pizza party no more without some kind of conspiracy coming along with that because it's Epstein.
So it's just like you can't just be throwing names out there when it comes to this kind of stuff, and we're living with no proof, and we're living in this kind of environment. You just can't do that, man. And so that I understand why Jimmy Kimmel was like, oh no, dude, you're not gonna do that to me because you're gonna make it dangerous for me walking down the street. People, bomb threats at judges' homes because somebody's on trial that they don't. You can't, man. Now people swatting people. You can't do that, man. That's that wasn't cool to Aaron Rodgers at all, man.
Well,
I lost a little respect for him.
We laugh about Aaron Rodgers.
That's where Aaron at.
And I would say again, he is not one of my favorite players because when you look in the dictionary for the definition of white privilege, you're gonna see a picture of Aaron Rodgers, because everything has always been given to him. Nobody ever calls him to the mat for anything that he says. When he can, and the reason he's unlike Jimmy Kimmel is because Jimmy Kimmel used to make jokes about him when he made that comment about the vaccination. You know, Kimmel made jokes about him, about the vaccination thing. So he doesn't like him, and that's cool. You don't like somebody, that's cool. But like D said, when you say statements that could put people in harm's way, then, like I said, if something was to happen, and people are crazy nowadays. If something were to happen to him or his family, Aaron Rodgers would go do the same stuff that Trump said. Well, I didn't tell him to go do it. Right? That would be his first thing. I didn't tell him to go do it. Well, you were the one that blew the dog whistle and made them go do it, even though you didn't specifically say, "Hey, go do such and such" to Jimmy Kimmel. You blew the dog whistle. So if something happens to him, that blood is on your hands, my brother.
Yeah.
We're moving on, fellas.
Anyway,
so skip him. Like I said,
so let's not get
moving on from A-Rod. We don't care where you at, A-Rod. Dorian.
So
speaking of legends, who leaving?
We talked about NCAA football legend leaving, Nick Saban. Again, I can call him a legend now because he's no longer at Alabama. So he is a legend. But this week we had two NFL legends. That
Carroll is an NCAA legend too.
Well, he's both.
What he got? Does he have two national championships in USC?
He got two national championships and a Super Bowl. Yep. One of only 4 coaches to have a national championship and a Super Bowl.
He's an NCAA. So Carroll is an NCAA legend too.
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame. NCAA.
Well, I was putting him with the NFL since he spent 14 years in the NFL. The last 14 years in the NFL, I'm considering him an NFL legend.
Well, he's a coaching legend in the NFL before he went to USC.
But the whole point being,
he got part 2 though. He got part 2. He got that second act. It was great. But anyway, we had Pete Carroll, who D is talking about,
got fired.
He didn't get fired. He got elevated to the front office. That's the official.
I mean, you got fired for one job and got another one.
Got promoted to another one. He got fired as the head coach. He got promoted. He got
fired in one job and they gave him another.
The statement is he got moved up to the front office because he is a living legend. They didn't want to quote unquote fire him, but yeah, he got fired. But so did Bill Belichick. Even though it was quote unquote mutual, Belichick got fired also. Why? Because he sucked the last 3 years. His teams have sucked the last 3 years. But he is the greatest, on paper, the greatest coach in NFL history.
No Tom Brady, no offensive coordinator. It's time to go. Time to go, Bill. Go hang out with your buddies. Nick Saban, go fishing.
The thing about again, the question was always who is more important, Belichick or Brady, and it doesn't really matter because they both were good together. You can't. The fact that Belichick has all of these wins and all of these Super Bowl championships, you can't take none of that away from him. Whether or not Tom Brady was a driving force of that or not, he was still the head coach of that team, and his defenses were there, winning those games along with Tom Brady. So. You got to give him his props.
Tom Brady and Adam Vinatieri were the keys to to New England winning. Belichick
has got to get him in his props, though. Got to get him in his props, man.
I do. You do. Shout out to Bill Belichick.
I think it's it's the end of an era.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really though, Dorian? But is it really? That goes to our next question. That's our segue to my next question. Is it really an end of an era?
Yeah,
I think he goes.
Well, let's think about the ages of these 3 coaches.
Yes,
they're all in their early 70s, and so, and the fact that one,
No, two coaches, Dorian. Two coaches.
No, I'm still referring. I'm also
including
including Saban in this too.
No,
but
I'm going back to Pete Carroll. Remember, like Rodney said, he's been promoted to executive. So are you still making him a candidate potentially that he can come back to coach?
Well, okay. That's what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
With Saban retirement, okay, and so again, the idea that he's not going to be coaching anymore. He's 72 years old. You got Pete Carroll, who's 72, somewhere around in there. He's been promoted up. I think that for me, I think that was a conversation that they had with him, because if he wanted to coach somewhere else, I think he would have said, nah, I don't want to be moved up. Let's just leave or part ways, and then I can go find somewhere else to coach. If they came to him and wanted him, like, hey, Pete, we think that, we want another voice in the locker room. We want whatever it is that you say to a coach or whatever, but hey, we'd like to give you, the golden parachute, and, you can come be, the vice president of fantasy operations and show up at something, and we pay you $500,000 a year. I'm just saying.
You're saying he's not going to leave.
What I'm saying, my point is that I feel like if he really wanted to coach again, and so that he could have just said, no, I don't want that job to be moved up. I want to coach again. Let me go somewhere else. It's not to say that he won't do it again. He may. I'm just talking about what's happening right now at this point. That for what we know, he's not going to be coaching again because he's got this higher up position. Saban is retiring. Now we know Bill Belichick says he wants to coach somewhere else, but that doesn't guarantee, even though I think it does because he's Belichick. But I'm saying that doesn't necessarily guarantee that he's going to get a job. So at this point, we're talking about three legendary coaches who no longer have those positions as head coach. And that's really the end of an era when you think of how old they are and how long they've been doing it and how long they've been dominating what it is that they've been doing. We can't forget, as far as Alabama is concerned, that Saban goes back to a national championship at LSU. So they've been doing it at the highest level for a very long time. And so now with them gone, now we're looking at a whole different level of coaches. We're no longer going to be talking about, as soon as you talk about great coaches, Saban at Alabama. Nope, he's not there anymore. Right? That's what I'm referring to when I say, that kind of end of an era thing, So yeah, I think that it's very interesting. It's going to be real interesting to see who ends up at Bama. It's going to be real interesting to see who ends up, with the Patriots job. It's going to be interesting to see who ends up with the Seattle job, because Seattle's pretty good.
Well, real quick, Rodney, I got a quick response, Rodney, because you all on this too. I don't see happy retirement for Pete Carroll. I don't see Pete Carroll coaching again in the NFL. I don't want to see Bill Belichick continue to be a head coach for another team in the NFL. And the reason being, Nick Saban, you can take a shot to come up, but I don't think he will. The reason being is it's part of the good old boy network. It's time to give some of these other younger coaches, whether it be offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, black, white, whatever, a shot. I'm sorry, because we just talked about, was it, like you said, right? Was it Tom Brady? Was it Bill? Was it the system? The coaches ain't on the field. So as far as legacies and these big names, they're great. That's good. But even John Madden had to retire and step away and then come back. And that's how I look at both Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. Retire, become executives with the team, and make those teams better again. People, I should say, are tired of. It's time for a new thing. Like we saw the Staleys and everything else. Let's keep the system going. You know what I mean? Keep the rotation going. Let's get so they can hear something new. Ain't nobody trying to listen to the Bill no more. He ain't got Tom Brady no more and all this other stuff. Let's get something new. That's why. Speaking of which, the Raiders, Rodney. They haven't officially given our brother that full-time job yet. You know what I mean? So, and let's not forget about our guy up in Michigan. I want Jim Harbaugh to go coach the Chargers. I think it's just set for him. Now, would you rather have Jim Harbaugh go coach the Chargers, or Bill Belichick, or our guy up in Seattle?
Well,
let's do process elimination like that. Out of the three, who would you rather? Out of those three individuals, we can even throw Saban in there. I'm glad you came back, Dorian. So we're gonna do a process elimination, and I'm gonna use the Los Angeles Chargers as the perfect scenario in that job. So, who would you rather have as the new head coach? Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, or Pete Carroll? You're gonna get one.
Belichick.
Okay. Belichick,
right? Y'all would take Belichick?
Yeah.
And why?
If you're asking me which,
I'm just asking why. Go ahead, Rodney.
Well,
if we said he had time and everything's gone.
At the end of the day, Belichick is a great coach. Yeah, he had time, but he was the one that made sure everything went as according to plan. He's the one that put the game plans together. He managed that team as best he can. Brady made the plays on the field, of course, but Belichick was the one that put all the plays together. And the fact that he has 6 championships, man, you can't 6 Super Bowl championships. You can't put that away. Where Belichick went wrong was when he decided he was going to be the general manager of the team, right?
I get that point. That's why I was asking that question. Yep.
That's why, as a coach, Coach Belichick is the greatest coach to ever stand on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. But when you add the whole totality of what he did for that team, these last, matter of fact, it started even before Brady left. The talent on the team, because Belichick again is one of those people that think he's way smarter than everybody else. So when everybody else is telling you, "Oh, you should draft this person in the first round," you say, "Well, no, I won't draft him in the first round. I'm gonna trade back 3 rounds, and then I'm gonna draft somebody else." Well, the third round player, there's a reason why he's a third round player, right? He gave up too many first round picks moving back to get much lower talented players, and eventually that stuff caught up with him. Being the last 3 years, the talent on the New England Patriots was absolutely atrocious. If he goes to San Diego, he's not going to. Well, if they're smart,
I know. I still call him San Diego too.
They won't give him that. They won't give him that responsibility. But as a coach, Coach Belichick again is still is the greatest coach to ever. Well, he's the second greatest coach next to Coach Shannon to ever stand on the sidelines.
I see your point. And the reason why I use San Diego / the LA Chargers, because remember, they fired their GM. And Rodney, you said it perfectly. Belichick is someone who should not be a GM again, having that much control. Phenomenal coach. That's what the question was. So as Belichick, like what you just said, you would rather take out of those 4 names, Belichick as a coach. Perfect. But now that puts you in another dilemma, I should say. Who are you going to bring in as your GM? Dorian, I'm going to ask you this question. Who would you bring in as your GM to where now he has to tell Bill Belichick, this is who I'm bringing in?
No, I don't know, because I don't know about any GMs. I don't keep up with that. That's Rodney.
That's what goes back to Rodney. That's why I posed that question.
But to answer the question, you said why to both of us, but then you only let Rodney answer.
No, I said Dorian. No, I asked you. I didn't ask why. I asked you guys, out of those 4 people, which one would you which would be the better coach? And you both said the same thing. I didn't say
why, and then you only let Rodney answer.
So I just said Dorian.
No, because now you're asking me about the GM now, and I can't answer the question about the GM, but I can tell you why I want Bill Belichick to be my coach.
Oh, my apologies. Oh, go ahead. I see what you're saying. My fault.
Yeah,
my fault.
Yeah.
I thought Rodney did such a good job on explaining Bill Belichick as a coach that you were going to go ahead. My bad.
Don't give him that kind of credit. So anyway, but no, Rodney is always good when it comes to GM questions. But I agree. I don't disagree with Rodney in terms of I don't think that he can't come in and be my GM. We've never said he was a bad coach, but he's definitely a bad GM. The last few years, I think with those kind of 3rd round picks, I think for a while you get kind of lucky with those. And and to be perfectly honest, one of the things, if you start thinking about when Belichick really kind of started to fall off, quote unquote, right, is because remember he's still the person that was smart enough to recognize in Tom Brady that he had this quarterback, but he hasn't had a quarterback, right? And because he hasn't had a quarterback, he also hasn't necessarily adapted to the modern kind of NFL in terms of a lot of what they were doing except for the 1 year that they had Randy Moss. A lot of what they were doing were always running the ball, getting you down to 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and then that kind of thing. And Brady was throwing a lot of short passes. Why you think that the slot receiver always was the star, or the tight end was really always the star of the New England offense, except for when they had Randy Moss, right? But the modern NFL, you need receivers. But first thing you need is a quarterback, and he was never able to replace Brady, which you can't. No, you're never going to replace. Brady is Brady. I don't care what. It's a whole bunch of first-round draft picks that ain't been Tom Brady. Nonetheless, 6th-round draft picks that turned into Tom Brady.
Well, we know he's not going to have another Tom Brady. The big question was who's going to continue to coach.
No,
that's our bigger question.
What I'm saying with the Chargers, he's got Herbert, and not only that, so if he's smart enough to do what he initially did in New England, not what he did at the end, is bring in a damn good offensive coordinator, he's gonna get the defense in shape. Part of the Chargers' problem has been this defense that everybody said was going to be good with the Bosa boy, and then with the other dude that everybody said was going to be good, that end up never being as good as they're supposed to be. Belichick is going to change that. And so, and to be honest with you, now the AFC West is wide open.
So with that being said, like you boys just pointed out, for both of y'all,
15 points a game,
right? For like I said, y'all would definitely you guys would take Belichick, as the coach. For the Los Angeles Chargers, like Dorian talked about, they have the team there. They have all the weapons there. And if Belichick would just coach and not try to be the super genius, then I can see him continuing to coach. However, it gets back to the ego for me with Bill Belichick, if you guys talked about, and he's not per se may not be the one who gets to decide on who comes in to be the offensive coordinator. He may not be the one who decides on who's going to be the defensive coordinator, even though we know that's going to be Bill doing probably that double duty. And hold on, that's what I'm saying. He's coming in as the coach, like you guys said. He's not the GM anymore, because the Chargers also are going to be hiring a GM. So whoever that individual is, let's just say the Chargers hired a GM first. The GM may not want Bill Belichick because their egos are going to clash. That's just my opinion on how that dynamic is going to work. Do you hire the head coach? And like you said, Rodney, you wouldn't want to see Bill Belichick be a GM again, or do you hire the GM first? So you hire the GM first.
Most organizations, when they have both positions open, they're going to always hire the GM first.
Right there. That's my point.
You want a coach that the GM and the coach can get on the same page and work together. Go ahead, D.
Belichick has said, he literally came out and said this in his press conference leaving, that he doesn't mind just coaching now. He said that.
Cool. He's saying that.
But he said that. My point is you don't necessarily have to hire the GM before you hire Belichick now, because he's already said he doesn't have to be the GM.
I understand that.
You can get him as a coach.
It sounds good at the press conference, but it's a different dynamic when it all happens. Because again, they're still going to have to hire a GM,
and they ain't giving you one unless you only want to be the head coach. And I don't see why he wouldn't be able to pick his own staff. Maybe not.
Coaches pick their staff. Coaches pick their staff. But
again, that goes back to, even if he came in first, the GM that they eventually hire may go a different way. And that's what I'm saying. Their egos of Bill Belichick, and whatever GM that the Chargers potentially hire, that may, for me, knock Bill Belichick off the candidate list. So if you want to hire somebody that's clean slate, you ain't got to worry about the egos and everything, to just be to come in as a GM and coach, I would say Jim Harbaugh. Now, going back to Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll did the same thing.
Pete Carroll's retired. Nobody's hiring Pete Carroll. He's done. Which
I say he should be retired. He's done. Nick Saban, are we agreeing that Nick Saban's done? Do you think Nick Saban would take another leap at the NFL, Rod?
Nick Saban is not going to come to the NFL.
So we'll say it's down to Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh.
Nick Saban doesn't want to mess up his legacy. But to what Dorian was talking about, the fact that Bill Belichick is a quote unquote free agent coach right now, there's going to be, of the 8 teams, at least 6 of them are going to want Bill Belichick as their coach. So he's going to have, or GM. He's not going to be a GM. That's out, because the league knows that Bill Belichick as a GM did not work. That's just like Michael Jordan as a team president. It just didn't work. Michael Jordan couldn't pick the players.
So he may Belichick somewhere else.
Last 4 or 5 years just doesn't work. But the fact that Bill Belichick is a free agent, like I said, normally what teams would do would be hire the GM and then let the GM hire his coach. But because of the fact that he is the greatest coach ever, if a team can get a meeting with him and convince him to take their position, they're going to do that now. They're going to go ahead and hire Belichick and then figure out who's going to be the GM later. Because, like I said, if you have the opportunity to get the greatest coach ever, you do it. GM be damned.
I see where you're going, right? You don't want Bill Belichick to get caught in a bidding war. I see what you're saying. If you can get the greatest, get him now and worry about the stuff later. As opposed to, like you said, the other teams.
That's what they're going to do with him. Now, as far as the other teams, you got Atlanta. You got Atlanta. You got not New Orleans.
Carolina,
Washington. You got Seattle, Tennessee.
I can see Bill Belichick going to Seattle. Cold city to cold city. Legend replacing legend.
Who's the 18?
Tennessee coach got fired, I think.
He named Tennessee.
Okay.
All right. Washington, Carolina, New England, Atlanta. I think I forgot Atlanta.
No, you said Atlanta.
Tennessee, Seattle, and LA.
The Chargers. So that's 8 teams. That's about right. I think you just named off 8 teams. That sounds about right. 8 openings.
Well, whatever it is. With Atlanta, as I said before, Atlanta has if I'm Atlanta,
all that money.
That's the one I'm going after Jim Harbaugh the hardest. If I'm Atlanta.
Yeah, if I'm Atlanta, I take Harbaugh, even though he went to Michigan.
Yeah. If I'm Atlanta, I'm going after Jim Harbaugh real hard.
Oh, the Raiders.
The
Raiders. And I talked about giving the brother the job. That's right.
And I'm so afraid they are not going to give him that job, because I think they want Jim Harbaugh real bad also. Go ahead, D.
Okay.
So it's 8 jobs, 2 primaries out there.
I really don't know if I give. I mean, he'd have to interview. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I don't see Antonio Pierce yet as a head coach.
I won't disagree with you. They get named an interim for something.
I just don't see him as. Again, it's not that I don't think he couldn't be a head coach.
Dorian. I agree, Dorian. He got elevated because everybody else got fired.
Yeah.
So I see where you're going. He was just the guy that got him motivated.
I mean, in Texas, what's the Texas coach name?
D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico Ryans. Did you see D'Amico Ryans before last year?
San Francisco defense. Yeah,
San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, what you ready to That's how he got the job, Rodney. Yeah, remember, I beat the crap out of your Dallas Cowboys.
But for the Raiders, what's his name? Well, that's actually a bad example because their defense did suck the first half of the year. But that was because they had a lot of injuries.
But I don't think Antonio Pierce was defensive coordinator though.
He wasn't.
Oh, he wasn't
just a coordinator. He was one of the special teams. He was a special team lineman coach or something like that.
He wasn't defensive coordinator.
No, he wasn't. He was like a defensive lineman coach. He wasn't at all.
Or a linebacker coach because he's a linebacker with the Giants.
So basically, you got 8 teams potentially with vacancies, 2 big names out there that can basically pick wherever they want, and everybody else is up for grabs.
So, the only I'll put it like this. If Antonio Pierce wasn't a brother, it wouldn't be a question. They gotta find an experienced coach, because that's what they need. They need an experienced coach that could bring an offensive system that will work with this team and get a different quarterback. Because your boy, what was the coach name before him? McDaniels. McDaniels messed that whole situation up. But like I said, if Antonio Pierce wasn't a brother, it wouldn't even be a question. I'd be saying, they need a new coach. But because he's a brother and I like him, I'm kind of torn. Although I don't think he's
cheering for you, brother. But it is the experience factor. We're always going to do that.
I don't think he's going to get that job. Which again, it's a spot where you could possibly see Harbaugh. The reason I say Harbaugh, I think he's going to go to Vegas,
the Raiders,
to the Raiders, is because he has a love affair with JJ McCarthy. Even though I think JJ McCarthy is not that good of a quarterback,
he's going to be. He has a
love affair with JJ McCarthy, and where the Raiders pick is right about where people say JJ could go. So it wouldn't be like he's making this big leap to get his guy. That's where they're really slotting his guy to be. Is right around the Raiders pick. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me for him to go get the Raiders job. The Raiders will give him full control, and he can go ahead and get JJ McCarthy. And the thing about it, because I think Harbaugh is actually a pretty damn good coach, I think it would actually work. It'll remind me when he went out and got Colin Kaepernick. Nobody really in the league knew of Colin Kaepernick's skills like Harbaugh did, and he brought him in there.
I think made him into a coach. I think Harbaugh is going to be in the AFC West. I like that. The Raiders. I like to see him with the Chargers. The Chargers are basically the Chargers are the AFC version of the 49ers. The team is already built to go to the Super Bowl. So he just, what I'm saying? That's what I say. I like that the Raiders better than Atlanta. So I can see him going to the Raiders and having that full control and being able to do that and making the right moves and stuff. And even bringing in a quarterback, like you said, bringing in JJ because of what he did. I like that. So I agree. I think Jim Harbaugh will be in the AFC as an AFC head coach and general manager next year.
The reason I say Atlanta, the reason I keep thinking Atlanta is because Arthur Blank got so much money. Arthur Blank got so much money, man. He
what does Atlanta pick though?
Atlanta they have like a top 10 pick.
Yeah, the money in the pick may swim down to Atlanta. But I see Jim Harbaugh coming home, going home to California. When it's all said and done, I see Jim going home to California.
The draft order is not necessarily
set. The top of the draft is. It's just not the
which actually kind of takes us which really kind of takes us into the next thing, right?
Yes, it does.
But number 1 is the Bears. Number 2 is Washington. Number 3 is New England. Number 4, Arizona. 5, the Chargers. 6, the Giants. 7, the Titans. And 8 is Atlanta.
So top 8 pick.
Keep going to the Vegas.
9 is the Bears. 10 is the Jets. 11 is the Vikings. 12 is the Broncos. 13 is the Raiders. 14 is the Saints.
Bad luck 13, Rodney.
15 is the Colts. 16 is Seahawks. 17 the Jaguars. 18 is who the Bengals. And the other
they're in the playoffs.
The other teams are in the playoffs.
So anyway, 13, Rodney. Bad luck 13 is where the Raiders will be picking. Where, like you said, but that would be a high reach for a second round pick and a JJ McCarthy to bring your own guy there. So I don't see the Raiders doing that. But especially he does have other quarterback at his disposal that he could draft, which leads us to what does Chicago do? What do the Raiders do?
All right, let's go to Chicago because I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, and y'all won't listen.
Ain't about listening. That's your opinion.
No, it ain't my opinion. It's
that is your opinion.
It's not
just
my
the three
opinion.
of us, amongst the four of us, we basically
said
none of us said we would not trade the next guy we're going to talk about, the Chicago Bears quarterback in Justin Fields, and Rodney was being cheap and wants to trade him. So we're back on this again. So it's a great segue. Would the Raiders make a move to move up or trade to try to get the number 1 pick to actually build that team if Jim Harbaugh went there? So we're back to your question. What do the Bears do with the number 1 pick? Would they trade Justin Fields to the Raiders? Does Jim want him like he had Colin Kaepernick?
You trading Fields, be it to the Raiders or Atlanta. You're going to get another top.
So he got another pick. Colin Kaepernick and out here. Okay.
You got another top 15 pick. So you're gonna have the number 1 pick. You're gonna have the number 9 pick. Or is it 9 or 8? D Chicago 9 or 8?
9. I got the 9.
9. You're gonna have 1. You're gonna have 9, and you're gonna have 13. The lowest being 13. So you're gonna trade.
Well, they're not gonna have the 1. Remember the Raiders trading to get the number 1.
No, the Raiders ain't trading. Chicago not trading number 1.
You just saying so. You just saying
they're trading Fields to the Raiders. That's
to get the Raiders pick. To get the Raiders pick. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
That's what they're gonna trade to the Raiders or Atlanta or whoever. But they're gonna Justin Fields will be traded. They're gonna draft. Now the only question is who they're gonna draft at number 1, be it May or be it Williams.
May.
In a perfect world.
Don't stay too long when they go back to your point. They're gonna trade Justin. They're gonna pick a quarterback. Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna trade Justin. They're gonna take their quarterback.
All right.
Now in a perfect world, if it wasn't for the money, they would keep Justin Fields. If it wasn't for the money, they would keep Justin Fields. But because of the money, they have no choice but to trade Justin Fields. But if it wasn't for the money, then they would trade that number 1 pick to the New England Patriots because that'll get him at 3. And the first two teams are going to take a quarterback, and then at 3 they can take the best player in the draft, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. So they have a receiver at 3. At 8, or I'm sorry, at 9, they can take an offensive tackle or a defensive end. And
maybe they would find a quarterback that low too.
But if they trade 1, they're gonna get 3. They're gonna get a 2nd-round pick and another 1st-round pick next year.
Yeah, they may be able to still find a quarterback that has dropped to him, like a Penix could drop to him down there after the top 9 or 10. I can see that scenario, Rodney. I can't disagree with that. Like I said, even though we said if I was Chicago, I would keep Justin Fields, but with the teams and the 2 potential coaches and where they go, especially Jim Harbaugh, that could have control, like you said, the Raiders and especially the Chargers, doing some moves like that, like with the Raiders being where they are, that makes sense. I can see that. I just can't see Atlanta doing anything. They're gonna just kind of play it along the course because Atlanta went for 2 years in a row being subpar with what they've had. They've been basically had a chance to win their division and go to the playoffs. So I don't see Arthur Blank spending no money. I look at Atlanta being cheap. That's just me.
Blank can spend money. The problem is,
their talent evaluation.
They drafted a quarterback.
Problem is Atlanta is their talent evaluation. They didn't have an offensive coordinator. Their head coach who got fired was the offensive coordinator himself too. They have no staff. That's the problem with Atlanta.
Now back to your Chicago thing.
They have no administration.
Back to your Chicago thing. The only problem with me saying that they're going to draft a quarterback number 1 is the fact that they did not fire their head coach, Matt Eberflus. Is it Eberflus? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Eberflus. Yeah, I think
so. They're gonna give him a chance to give this new kid his.
See, that makes no sense whatsoever.
That's right. That's why when you just said that makes no sense. Like,
if you're going to keep the coach, it makes absolutely 0 sense for you to go ahead and draft another quarterback.
Exactly.
You let him keep working with the same quarterback that he has.
And the system that Justin Fields gets crucified for because he's been under like 3 or 4 different systems. Right. Yeah, that makes no sense.
So keeping Eberflus and drafting another quarterback makes absolutely no sense. He already messed up one quarterback. Why let him mess up another quarterback? Mm-hmm. So the fact that they kept him kind of leads me to believe that they may actually keep. They're gonna go with my plan B, and that's trade that number 1 pick to get multiple first round picks. Or they might just say, skip it. We're gonna go ahead and draft the best player that's in here now anyway.
Marvin Harrison, keep Justin Fields, reunite him with the Buckeye buddies, and you might have a dynamic duo. I like that scenario. You finally made that Justin Fields trade scenario and everything, and ain't all about the money sound very good, Rodney. And with the firings and the team openings, that made a whole lot of sense, which goes back to what we're just talking about. So based on that, Justin Fields, we know, is out there. He's valuable. But the guys coming into the league, who are the top 5? The top 5. You named 2 of them, Caleb Williams, Mr. May. I got a couple others we're going to mention here myself. We got Mr. Penix. That's the 3 of them. Who are the top 5 quarterback prospects for 2024, Rod? Who you got?
Well, you got Caleb Williams.
Who you got in your ranking order?
Drake May. Well, see, if I'm doing it,
talking about in ranking order.
If
the top 5,
order,
your ranking order, top 5 of them.
I got Williams first.
Okay.
But I'm going Jaden Daniels second, man. Drake May he's a big guy.
Okay. We know.
Kind of like your boy
Taylor Williams first, Jaden Daniels next. Who's Daniels second?
Drake May.
Who's number 3?
Go Drake May. And then I'm kind of torn. Michael Penix is a hell of a quarterback, man. He can throw that deep ball better than most NFL quarterbacks.
Okay.
But after watching him in that Michigan game, man,
Michigan defense, as you said, was dynamic though.
And the way that they made him look average, I'm real nervous about him.
Okay, so who's your 5 then?
I'm gonna still have him third. And then
that's your 4th. That's number 4. You said Taylor Williams, and then Jaden Daniels, then May, so he would be 4.
Yeah, he's gonna be 4. So 5. I can't even. I don't think I can put JJ at 5.
What about Bo Nix?
Thank you. That's my 5, Dorian. So I'm gonna start with. If I gave my rundown, I'm going.
I would have had Shador in there.
Yeah, I'm going Bo Nix. I'm going Bo Nix at 1. Penix Jr. Okay, Penix Jr. at 2. Then I'm going May, then Williams, and then Jaden Daniels. That's just my order. That's my order. That's just me. What you got, D?
I didn't have a particular order.
Okay, your 5, top 5.
I think for me, in the modern NFL, I really think he might need to gain a few pounds, but I really like Jaden Daniels. I would, if I had to say second, to be honest with you, I can't really say Drake May because I haven't really seen him play. And Carolina was never on that kind of stage where I got a chance to kind of see Drake May play. I've only just heard about them talking about Drake May, and I never saw any. Put it this way, it wasn't like they were showing any highlights on ESPN that made me want to go watch a Drake May game, even though everybody was talking about how good he was. I would say, even though I don't necessarily think Caleb Williams is all that they're trying to make Caleb Williams out to be, but if we're talking about just what's happening in this particular draft, then yeah, he would probably be number 2. I would take Bo Nix third. Again, I'm not with that idea. I hate this whole idea of these kids stay in college and then you penalize them because they older. So I think I would take Bo Nix third because of his experience and he's played a lot of games.
That's why I took him at 1.
Then I would probably go. My next would be Michael Penix Jr. He impressed me with the Washington team, but this is what I'll say. I think Penix also kind of showed you what happens with a team that has mediocre talent, like when he was in Indiana. And Indiana ain't never been that good at football, as you know, as somebody that came from the Big Ten. You know, basketball was always their thing. They've always been a doormat for the most part in the even when they had Anthony Richardson, who ended up being was it Richardson that ended up being the all-time leading rusher of all time, and you would never know it because Indiana. So it makes me wonder about Penix, but at the same time, being at Washington shows you what he can do when he has talent.
Has some talent to throw to, right? Number 4.
So, but that's the thing. These kids that are getting drafted this early, you're not going anywhere that has talent.
We understand that, but we're just talking about we're not talking about where they're going. But who's your last 2 that you think will get in the league?
No, that was 4. That was 4. I can't think of anyone else. I said I gave you 4. I didn't give you 5. I said Jaden Daniels, your boy from USC, Bo Nix, and then Penix. But see, this is the thing for me. I think that so check this out. Talking to my father-in-law, give a shout out to Papa Cole. We were talking about this, and he was talking about the quarterback situation in Minnesota. Right now, Minnesota is drafting 11th. You got Cousins coming off an injury, right?
He's a free agent.
Who's a free agent, but coming off an injury. You have nobody backing you up, backing them up, right? Think about the quarterbacks that they had tried to come in because they would have gone make the playoffs. They were winning the NFC North, right? Until the injury. Right, till the injury. So them drafting at 11 gives them an opportunity to draft a quarterback.
Okay.
Now, the thing about it is that do you draft a quarter? Do you go ahead and draft a quarterback and then end up sucking for the next few years? Because you got Justin Jefferson, you got all these other guys, but now you got an inexperienced quarterback. You still got Brian Flores as the defense coordinator. The defense played well until the clock struck 12. So
he may or may not be there.
Hey, thank you, Rodney. That's what I was just going to say. When we're talking about
coach somewhere.
That's what we're just talking about. Like said that, right? We're talking about the top 5, just top 5 prospects, but at 11, the top 5 that we just all named ain't be there for them to even go get a quarterback.
I don't think Penix or Bo Nix is going in that top 10.
That's why we just tried to find the top 5, and we didn't say who was going, but who are just the top 5 prospects.
That's what I'm saying. They 11. So Minnesota has a chance to get one of those top 5 quarterbacks that we talking about. Minnesota has a chance to get one of those quarterbacks. And if you can't get one of them, then what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you re-sign Cousins?
Because Rodney said, you drafting quarterbacks of the teams above them, of the 10 teams above them, do those 10 need quarterbacks? And, if 5 of them need quarterbacks, then they may or may not be there. But this Russ, what did they do to Russell Wilson in Denver, Rodney?
So Russ got benched at the end of the season. I think it was the last 3 games of the season because of an injury clause in his contract. They didn't want to get him out there and let him attempt to get injured because if he did, his 25 contract became guaranteed. Right now, the only thing that's guaranteed is 24. So, which is still like $40 million. But if had Russ gone out there and played and got hurt, then they'd have been on the hook for his contract. So they were trying to not guarantee his contract. But what they did say is that Russ has an opportunity to come in and win the job for next year.
Win the job he got benched from next year. Where they don't have to pay that money this year. That's crazy.
Yeah, so
that's a smart GM. And who's the GM in Denver?
The question is, no, actually, it wasn't a smart thing to do because it's actually completely against the NFLPA's.
Yeah, that's cheating. Yeah, they basically. Wait, if he's injured, they didn't report him as injured.
No, so what they did was let's go back. Let's give you the background. What they did was they approached Russ towards the beginning of the season when they were after they beat Kansas City, and they told Russ that he needed to alter his contract to eliminate that the guaranteed part, or they were going to release him. That's what they told him.
Oh,
right, because they didn't want to pay the guaranteed money, which is completely illegal. Yes, strong arm. So as they got closer to the end of the season, and when it looked like they were not going to make the playoffs, they went ahead and decided, "Are we going to sit him? We gonna sit Russ, right?" So, and Russ being the person that he is, normally he would not have said anything, but this is one of the times that I completely agree with any player throwing their team under the bus because they tried to do him wrong. So he needed to get that out there. And because he got that out there, the NFLPA is filing a grievance against Denver. It's gonna actually cost Denver way more than the $38 million that they would have had to guarantee Russ. They're gonna get a big, huge fine. It's gonna cost them in the form of players that are not gonna want to go out there because why? Denver's gonna renegotiate your contract. Even though you got guaranteed money, they don't want to pay you. So it's just in publicity, it's going to cost them. So the question is, will Russ still cook in Denver? They're trying to say here there's still a chance because they're trying to backtrack. But if I'm Russ, no, cut me. I don't want to be there. Cut me.
But are they gonna cut him because that's $85 million in dead cap money?
It doesn't matter. If they keep him on the team and not play him, it's $85 million in dead cap. If they release him, it's $85 million in dead cap. So what do you think is going? Wasn't that not going to play him?
So you're saying he's guaranteed $85 million next year, regardless?
No. He's only guaranteed. So the way the dead cap money is the money that I'm
saying if they keep him, they only have, if they keep him and don't play him, they only have to pay his salary, whatever his salary was going to be for the year.
They got to pay his salary. Yes,
right. That wasn't $85 million.
No. $85 million. When they say $85 million dead cap, what that is, it's the money that they owe him on his contract, the $40 million, plus the money that they've spread out over the entire length of the contract for a signing bonus. So that spread out part, they still got that. That's that other $40 million that's going to come due. And when you release a player, it becomes due then. If you keep them, you still chop it off, year by year by year by year. Right. But if they let them go, the whole thing becomes due. Right. So then that's what I said. If they keep him, they're going to pay him his contract for this year. And then even though they may release him the following year, there's still another $40 million that they're going to have to account for. But at that time, then they can take that $40 million and split it over 2 years and make it 20 each year. Right. Right now, if they cut him, they got $80 million and they got to split it 40 each year. You got me?
Yep. So which one sounds better? Which one sounds better spread out? 40 or 20? 20 sounds much easier.
Yeah. If they keep him on the team and not play him, that's still $40 million in dead space.
But if you, because he's taking up a roster spot or whatever. Yeah. But the question is, okay, so who do you get better than Russ?
Exactly.
So the only thing they can do is see, this is the problem that they have. The only thing that Denver can do is draft a quarterback because you need someone on a low contract.
What did you say they draft at, Dorian? What does Denver draft at?
They don't.
Right behind Minnesota.
Right behind Minnesota?
Well, Denver drafted 12? I thought Denver owed their pick to Seattle.
I know they got a first-round draft pick. Right.
They picked
I thought they owed their pick to Seattle. Or did they already? This is just Russ' second year, isn't it?
They pick at 12.
Number 12, yeah.
But they pick it to no. This is third. This would be going into his third year. This was his second year here. The next draft would be his third year because remember he played under
That's right.
And then Sean Payton this year.
Yep.
So now they have
they got the first round pick. Yeah, that's right. They got the first round pick the year they traded them, and then they got last year's first round. Yeah, that's it.
Right. So now
I can see Mark May going to Denver.
So now that puts you in the same dilemma, which was kind of my point about Kirk Cousins. It with Minnesota have drafted 11.
Yeah, I see what you mean now. So both of them going to have to look to the future. I see what you're saying, Dorian. If you got the potential of one of these prospects falling to you, even though you still have 2 top 10 caliber quarterbacks there, you got to look to the future.
Yeah,
so,
you got
to look to the future with these guys, their age and everything, especially with Russell Wilson in Denver. That marriage is about to end. But in Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, remember, I used him as the barometer for all these other garbage quarterbacks. Remember, before he got hurt, like y'all said, he was on an MVP status until he got hurt. But he's hurt and that injury. So it's like, would you rather have Kirk Cousins off his injury back next year or Aaron Rodgers off his injury next year? Do the Jets get a first-round pick next year? Do the Jets have a pick, Dorian? They gave it all up for Aaron Rodgers.
The Jets got
the Jets have a first-round pick, period. I think they gave it up for Aaron, didn't they, Rodgers?
No. Because he didn't play enough games. They still that first-round pick.
The Jets picked 10th.
Yeah, because they didn't play. Because Rodgers didn't play enough games, they only get a second-round pick. If he plays more games, it would have been pushed up to a first-round pick.
Oh, and that's why he didn't come back either, although he may be healthy as could be. Oh, wow.
Show me the MRI. Show me the MRI. The Jets tank. He didn't really tear his Achilles. He just didn't want to give up that first round pick.
All right.
We're in the playoffs.
Finishing up on our NFL topics, we're going to talk about these playoffs and do the one thing that we suck at, and that's picking these winners.
No, it ain't.
49ers
and Ravens in the Super Bowl.
In the NFC.
49ers.
Okay, well, you went ahead. 49ers
Ravens. Rematch.
You know he was picking the 49ers.
Just like I'm picking the Cowboys.
Right? But against who?
God.
But against who?
I'm not. I quit.
Against who in the AFC? Cowboys.
Your Bengals on the sideline. Don't say nothing, bro. But no, I'm going.
Oh, damn. At least he gets to be objective because his team didn't make the playoffs, right? So he can cheer for whoever he wants.
You two,
I'm going Dallas, and I'm going. See, the AFC is a little hard for me. I want to say Baltimore, but Baltimore always nut up in the playoffs. So
this is Lamar
until they're beaten. Until they're beaten, I'm going Dallas and KC.
Okay.
Here, okay. I got two hot takes for y'all.
Go ahead.
And it's not, and I'm not saying this. I'm honestly, I'm not. I'm not saying this just to spite Rodney. I say Green Bay beats Dallas first round.
Ooh.
I say Green Bay beats Dallas first round.
Ooh.
And if that happens, I'm coming over there and smacking you.
and Bill Belichick will get hired as the coach of the Dallas Cowboys next year by Jerry Jones.
Breaking news. I'm breaking D neck if the Cowboys lose.
Y'all heard it here first. All you Dallas fans.
I got another one for you.
That's a call out right there. Green Bay upsets Dallas. I like that.
I'm gonna tell you though. I'm gonna tell you in the AFC though. I got Cleveland and Buffalo in the AFC Championship, and Buffalo going to the Super Bowl.
I can see that.
I can see that. So everybody agrees that Miami's going to lose.
Miami beat up. Kansas City has very little defense, and they have no receivers.
The quarterback in Cleveland. What is his name? Wow.
Joe Flacco.
Oh, cornerback.
The cornerback. The DB.
Yeah, he got hurt. He's not playing. Hold on. Let me tell you his name. It's Ward. Is it some Ward? Yep. Ward. He injured his knee. Denzel Ward.
Oh yeah, Denzel Ward. He's a baller.
Yeah, he injured his knee and may or may not play.
He gone.
I really honestly think Cleveland is people sleeping on Cleveland, even though I hate it.
I got Cleveland. I see them there.
People are sleeping on Cleveland because one.
Shout out Trim.
You're talking about the playoffs.
Shout out.
So
Monk.
we all know that the NFL game changes in the playoffs.
Shout out to my favorite A-Rab.
And Cleveland has a really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
They do,
and a good run game.
And so and a good one. And so because of that defense travels. And so they got a quarterback who he been kind of throwing some interceptions or whatever, but I think he has that experience. Flacco.
Sorry, I got a question. Sorry, I have a question. For Cleveland to play Buffalo in 86, wait, who are their matchups? Give us a rundown of the matchups. I'm kind of confused. That's just like throwing off the Ravens and Kansas City. What are their matchups?
I was looking at who played who. I didn't necessarily look at the.
Oh yeah, that's right, Rodney. They played the Texans first round. Ooh, I can see them beating the Texans. Cleveland beating the Texans.
And Buffalo plays Pittsburgh, right?
Ooh, I can see Buffalo losing to Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh comes to Buffalo.
So that's they ain't doing. I can see Pittsburgh beating Buffalo first round.
No.
Yeah, I don't see that. They still have no quarterback.
They still have no
quarterback. And Buffalo still got a hell of a defense.
Yeah.
But see, what's the brackets though? Because I didn't see if Cleveland.
Oh, that's what I thought you were looking at. I thought you had up the matchups.
I looked at the matchup. I looked at who was playing who, not the bracket.
Yeah, that could work, D. Because Cleveland would play. If Cleveland won, they played Baltimore.
Okay, and I got Baltimore in the Super Bowl. That means Cleveland upsets basically everybody in their division.
It would be. One plays 7. Hello, Buffalo.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Buffalo played Kansas City.
The AFC North was the only division that had all their teams with winning records.
Yeah, so Cleveland would play the Ravens. If they won, they play the Ravens in the semis, and then if Buffalo beats the winner of Miami, Kansas City, they play Cleveland in the championship.
Ooh, Miami, Kansas City is the first round game, Rodney?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. You got Kansas City going to the Super Bowl against the Cowboys. Ooh.
It's going to be horrible for Miami.
Ooh, that's going to be an interesting game. They playing in Kansas City?
In Kansas City.
Oh, yeah, that's over. Yeah, that game over for Miami. Yeah.
It's supposed to be 0. It's supposed to be 0.
Yeah. Game over. And see, that's why I think Pittsburgh could possibly upset Buffalo because as far as the climate and the weather, it ain't a big deal. But yeah, that's a big deal though for Miami coming to Kansas City. That's a tremendous. Miami's going first round.
If D really wanted to have a hot take, he just said the Lions would be the NFC game.
I like that Green Bay hot take.
I don't know if the Lions ready yet, man.
Who the Lions got out the gate?
The Rams.
Oh, it's a lot of emotion. Your boy
It's
mad. He came out and said he mad how they did him. Yeah. I don't know. That's gonna be interesting. I want to see Detroit win this game, Rodney. Your boy left and win his got his Super Bowl, so I'm cheering for the underdog. I want Detroit to win this game. I think they're gonna win this game, Rodney.
You and everybody. I see them beating the Rams.
Yeah,
but
that
Rams.
second game.
That second game, they gotta play Cowboys the second game.
Oh, y'all gonna lose to Green Bay?
No, that ain't happening. I just want y'all to know that ain't happening.
So, okay, even if they had to play, Detroit would have to play the Cowboys again. So that's a rematch of a fluky game.
Let me ask this question because this is the thing. If Philadelphia loses to Tampa Bay,
what's the biggest upset? Green Bay beating Dallas or Tampa Bay or Philly losing to Tampa Bay?
If Philly loses to Tampa Bay, are they gonna keep their coach?
Yeah.
They keep Sirianni?
Yeah.
Yes.
After your team went 10, you started off 10-1, and then you lose in the first round of the playoffs.
You just went to the Super Bowl last year, man.
That's right. And the coach is not on the freaking field.
Jeffrey Lurie
That's
Jeffrey Lurie is one of those type of owners, or he'd have fired Andy Reid long ago.
Mind you now, listen, you still got that wild card that's out there in Bill Belichick.
No, Jeffrey Lurie don't want Bill Belichick, and Jeffrey Lurie is not one of them kind of owners. Again, if he was one of them kind of dudes, how many times would Andy Reid have been fired after going to the Super Bowl and lose?
Exactly.
So no, Sirianni ain't going nowhere. Now, if they did the same thing next year, then yeah. But no, not after I just went to the Super Bowl last year. No.
But right, to answer your question, remember, it wasn't the head coach's fault that Philadelphia let go and pretty much all their defense and everybody last year after going to the Super Bowl. Remember that. That wasn't Sirianni's fault.
It wasn't that they
Philadelphia. They lost a lot. They lost a lot of players from agency last year.
They got all 21 of their starters from last year, bro.
Hey, how many of them starters? Hold on, Rodney. How many of them starters on the offense?
They got all.
They
21.
lost most of them players, bro. They lost a predominant amount of their most important defensive players last year.
What they lost were their backups.
That's why Philadelphia can't stop anybody.
What they lost were their backups, and they lost their coaches, their offensive and
defensive coordinator. And what else did they lose? Their defensive coordinator to another team.
Exactly, which brings us to Sirianni. He was the one that hired the new people.
No, you're gonna fire him for hiring a defensive coordinator that wasn't as good as the defensive coordinator from the Super Bowl? That ain't his fault. It was a bad hire.
He hired Matt Patricia, bro.
The good old boy network.
They
went to the Super Bowl.
He wasn't a good defensive coordinator. He was a bad head coach.
Matt Patricia, he wasn't a good defensive coordinator in New England.
Yes, he was. The year that he sucked, he had him as offensive coordinator.
He was. Rodney, they went to the Super Bowl.
No. I'm talking about when he came back. I'm talking when he came back.
When he came back, he put him at offensive coordinator. That was why everybody was like, Belichick thinks he's a genius. How you gonna put Matt Patricia at the offensive coordinator position when he was a defensive coordinator before? Whatever year he took him away from the defense and put him at offensive coordinator. The second time when he went back to New England.
Hey, Dorian, speaking of which, who was that kid again that Bill Belichick made the offensive coordinator for New England this year or something? What team was that? The Cooks or something. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But we're going to get off this football, y'all. 49ers, Ravens in the Super Bowl. Let's get to what these boys really want to talk about. And that's Rodney and his garbage-ass basketball team from his town of Detroit. Yeah, they are the worst team in NBA history. But luckily for all these kids that's playing now, they wouldn't have seen the worst teams that was worse than the Pistons right now.
So this is I asked a question, but this is what I will say to that though. It's not that they're the worst team in history. It's the fact that they're the worst constructed team for this current NBA.
Well, you should have worded your question like that.
I know, but they're horrible though. They're horrible. It's clickbait.
Oh, okay.
But the problem that the Pistons have, because they have talent. They do have talent.
The problem is
but their problem is they don't have right now the modern NBA, you come down, you shooting 45 threes a game, and you hoping to hit 38 to 40% on the 3-point line.
Right.
The Pistons shoot the fewest threes in the league. They hit the fewest threes in the league. And then they don't play defense. And that's a horrible combination. You got and it's bad roster construction. You got another GM that thinks he's smarter than everybody else. He came in and immediately traded everybody for draft picks taking on all these other salaries. So now you got all these salaries and players taking up spot that can't really play. And then you overvalue the people that you have, thinking you got a player that you think you're gonna get 5 first-round draft picks for, and you wouldn't get 5 hot dogs for them. So it's the problem with the Pistons is mainly the GM. The GM has been horrible. He's completely decimated this team and made it to what it is right now. And then you go out and get a coach, pay a coach well at that time the largest salary in NBA history. You pay this coach the largest amount of money ever to coach a team that has no players that play the way that he plays. You know, you go out and get this good coach, and you don't have any players that fit his the way that
philosophy.
He coached.
His philosophy. I know what you're doing. And who is that coach? Mr. Money Williams. They took the bag.
Williams,
he took the bag, man. It's all about upper management, right?
But that's all he did. He took the money, man, and right now he's running because they suck.
Right, I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Good.
Which one is worse by record? The Pistons or the San Antonio Spurs?
Oh, the Pistons.
Really?
They were
Damn,
the Pistons were 3 and like 27, and the Spurs were 5. Now they're 6 because they beat the Pistons They beat the mess out the Pistons last night. It wasn't even close. From the tip off, it wasn't close. They just got whooped. They were outmatched, outcoached, everything. And Wembanyama, he had his first triple-double. He had 10 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds.
Against your Pistons?
Didn't even break sweat.
Against the Pistons?
Against the Pistons.
When you said
you said it all right there. Then that's all you need to know. Wembanyama had a triple-double against your Detroit Pistons. So that's all you need to know. So Detroit needs some help. So are they going to be trying to make any moves, Rodney?
So trade season has begun. The first big chip fell for my Knicks. Shout out to OG coming to the Knicks. Even though we had
nice winning streak, Rodney. I've been watching y'all.
I'll say J.R. Smith. Wow.
Ungadaga, how you say his name?
He gave up RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. So
Quickly been nice in Toronto.
Quickly was hard. That was a rough one to give up. Because right now we're struggling with the bench scoring, as evident by tonight's game where we're getting smashed by Dallas. This will be the first game that they lose since the trade. They were 5-0. Well, hey, they're back within 8 points now with 3 minutes to go. So hey, they're making a push. But we got Ojanobi, a great two-way player. They came from Toronto. That's meshed well with the team. But there's a lot of
that trade worked for both teams.
It did. There's a lot of other trade candidates out there. You got DeJounte Murray down in Atlanta. His name is out there. You still got Zach LaVine. You still got Pascal Siakam. Those are
you want Zach LaVine so bad in New York. You've been saying that since like episode 20 before basketball started last year when we were talking about a draft preview. You wanted the Knicks to go get Zach LaVine. You need to hashtag Zach LaVine on this episode, and we're gonna put it out there to get you your Zach LaVine, Rodney. But go ahead.
But
anyway.
I don't want him now. I don't want him.
No, you don't want him. Oh Lord. Oh no, breaking news.
You know Rodney Fickle.
I don't want him now because he said he don't want to play for the Knicks, so I don't want him.
I don't want him. Oh, excuse me.
But
what?
Hey,
if he don't want that bad, does he not know the Knicks will overpay? Okay.
We ain't overpaying. We're not overpaying him. He already overpaid.
The Knicks y'all need help.
I'm still mad from last year when we should have had Donovan Mitchell. But I'll take DeJounte Murray as my consolation prize. DeJounte Murray, I think him and put him with what we already have.
Hey, by the way, Rodney, I like that sweater you're wearing. So real quick, who are you trading from your Knicks? This is your question. So we can move to Dorian.
Oh, I'm getting rid of all the wasted players on my bench.
Okay, for who? Who you want? Oh wait, the Knicks what? Ain't y'all like what 7-3 in y'all last 10 games or something? Y'all actually been balling late.
Something like that. Yeah, we want to find.
They've been balling. But so it's trade season. We talking about your Knicks. Do your boys need to make another move, or are they cool with what you got?
I need another scorer. I need a scorer off the bench.
Who for who?
Go get me Jordan Clarkson from Utah.
Ooh.
He'll make up for everything I can do.
And who are you giving up?
Oh, just draft picks. This is gonna be draft picks. We got plenty of draft picks to give up, and that's what Utah won't. They won't draft picks. That's what we're gonna give up.
Dorian, you got any potential players for like your Golden State Warriors or anybody else you would like to see make a move or anything?
I don't think any move Golden State would make is really gonna help them. Which kind of leads into one of our other topics, the next one, the one after that. Mm-hmm. I don't think anything that Golden State can do.
Let's switch that around.
I don't think that there's anything really that Golden State can do that's going to make them go any further in the playoffs. I just don't see that. My other team is the Pistons. I don't even think, even going down a little bit further, I don't know of any team.
I didn't know you was a Pistons fan. That's a first for me.
Oh, he was Zeke.
Bad boy. I didn't know you was part of the bad boy club.
He ain't been watching Blaming on the Boogie, D. He ain't been watching.
I must have missed that. I didn't know Dorian's a true fan, a true
he act like he wasn't my roommate for I don't know how many years.
I must have missed that. I don't know.
Since Isaiah Thomas got drafted in 1981.
You're right. For some reason, because Dorian is originally from Ohio, I always thought he was a Cleveland fan, because that's the only basketball team there, or a Bulls fan, because he was, big on the Bulls. So it was either the Bulls or Cleveland. I never associated him with Detroit.
Okay, let me clarify something. I ain't never been big on the Bulls. As a matter of fact, I hate the Bulls.
Oh, shit. You cool with me? You cool with me?
I've never liked the Chicago Bulls. What it was, and I've never.
That's why we so cool.
And I've never been a Michael Jordan fan either.
That's two reasons why we're so cool.
But the thing about the Bulls is I recognize greatness. And I appreciated watching greatness. But I've never been a fan. I could have cared less if they would have won or lost. Really, I was always hoping somebody got to lose. I was always hoping somebody would beat them, but they never did. And so I always had to just give in and just say, hey, this dude is the greatest to ever play.
So we're talking about speaking the greatest to ever play. And speaking of guard,
I ain't never been a Jordan fan.
So what's this about the dynasty in Golden State being ended? I mean, I do recall Golden State didn't win last year, but did Draymond end it? I mean, I thought it was pretty much already over. All them boys over. That's my answer. I don't think Draymond was the end of the dynasty. I think all of them just old.
Exactly. I was just about to say, what do we always say? Who is undefeated? Father Time is undefeated.
Time.
What Fred say? What Esther say? I've been blessed by Mother Nature. And he said, and your face has been cursed by Father Time. So, Father Time catches up with everybody, man. And that's what happened. That's what happened with Golden State.
Speaking of Golden State, did you guys watch the game last night?
No, I didn't.
They got the brakes beat off them last night. I wouldn't say they lost by at least 20, 25. At one point, I think it was Memphis without Ja Morant. Yeah. That was last night. Because, I rarely watch the NBA. This is some interesting games. They got the brakes beat off them last night. Welcome back, Draymond.
About your Golden State Warriors, D. I do think that Draymond was the reason.
I just became a Steph fan. So anyway.
Yeah. I do think that Draymond was the reason that dynasty ended. And it all started with the punch. Once he punched what's his name? Jordan Poole. Once he punched Jordan Poole,
the punch.
That completely messed up their whole team. That team couldn't recover from that. Even though they tried, that team couldn't recover from that. And this is right after they won the championship.
Let me ask you this question. Okay, so you say that. Now let me ask you this question.
Good.
The last year that they won the national championship, that they won the NBA title. What was that? 2022?
Yeah.
Did you expect them to win?
Did I expect them? Yeah.
Yeah.
You expected them to win it all from once the playoffs started. You expected them to win it all from the beginning.
They would go to State.
That's not what I asked you.
The Dynasty we're talking about. Yeah.
You actually expected them to win it all. Or did you okay? Did you expect them to win it all, or did you just believe that they were good enough to win it all?
I expected them to go to the finals.
I got this question. No, I thought that they had a team that could win.
Yeah, me too. They were the champ, the dynasty that we're talking about.
Because of that, yes, I also expected them to win because I thought they had a team that could win. They were balling for most of that season.
Until what Rodney said, until the punch. Until that broke up the chemistry.
The next year, you had the punch, and that just blew up that whole team. But along with the punch came Father Time, because Draymond in their finals, in that playoffs or whatever, Draymond looked old. Matter of fact, Kerr put him on the bench for a lot of that time during that playoffs. So Draymond looked old. Clay was coming back from his injury. Clay wasn't 100%. But Andrew Wiggins was the player, the younger guy that came in and gave them that boost of energy that they needed to go to win that championship. So Father Time was hitting at him at that time also. Now, so I guess it was the punch and Father Time. Both of them took punches at the Golden State Warriors. And now, right now, they just a shell of themselves. So the dynasty has ended. Go ahead.
No, my thing is, I don't think that Draymond ended it. I think that Father Time ended it. And I think that I don't really think that many people, even in 2022, in terms of the idea of the dynasty still being here, I think they surprised people in 2022. Remember, they were only the 3 seed, and that was year, Dante. That was the year everybody expected Phoenix to just run away with it.
It's the West, though. So when it
comes
to seeding the West,
Phoenix in that year,
real quick. When it comes to seeding in the West, 1 through 8, it don't matter in the West because
wait a minute.
Really, they all good. I know what you're saying, though. It was the 3 seeds. Right. So.
But they also remember that year that they went, they beat Dallas in the conference finals because Dallas had beat who everybody thought was going to win in Phoenix, who was the number 1 seed.
What we thought they were.
Right. So I think that I don't necessarily want to, again, I like the Warriors. I'm a Warriors fan, love the Warriors. Been a Steph fan for a long time, which made me a Warriors fan. So I don't want to necessarily take anything away from them because they won it. They're the champions. And yeah, that championship was part of that dynasty that we talked about. But I don't think anybody really expected them to win that year. I think they got the luck of the draw in many ways when when Phoenix had the injuries, and then Dallas ended up beating them, and then they ended up making it to the finals, and they still, because the Mavericks were the 4 seed. So I think that Father Time, even before then, that the dynasty was done. I think it was before. I don't think the punch had anything to do with it. Again, I don't think that 2022 year, yeah, it was a great year, but I don't think that was the best team. I think that was that very, very end. The very, very tail end of that dynasty, and they happened to get a good draw in the playoffs, which is how they ended up going to the final. And they played, so that's why, again, I think that Draymond didn't end it. I think it ended before that. I just think that they had a good draw, which is how they won in 2022. That's why I was asking you: did you really expect them to win, or did you just think that they were good enough that if they there was a possibility that they could? I think that's the difference and the idea of the dynasty. Because other than that, before then, you expected Golden State to go and win.
That's what we said.
By 2022, you didn't expect it. You was just like, well, if they can, depending on who they play, they can make it. And that's exactly what happened in 2022.
But because they did have a dynasty, I mean, they're champions. So you never underestimate the heart of a champion. Dudes always say that.
All right, Rudy Tomjanovich.
Well, speaking of champions, what's up with the former champions of the Lakers?
They're done.
They suck.
They're done.
Suck.
They're getting whooped right now by 16 in Phoenix. I'm sorry, in LA by Phoenix.
In LA. In LA.
I'm sorry, in LA at half. They're done.
Hey, it's times are bad in LA when you got to go out and do stuff like this, Rodney. That's what caught my attention. Like, damn. We talking about trade deadline, who can you go get? This is what the Lakers resorted to having to go do.
Former first round draft pick. I mean, they trying to take a flyer on the brother. Belmont.
Belmont is in SIU East Conference.
Yeah, where they? Oh, the new conference right now. The conference that they're in now, because they didn't used to be.
The Ohio Valley. Yeah, Belmont.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So
he
signed to a two-way contract.
Which goes back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of kids going to these places and getting this exposure, and now somebody from Belmont is making it to the NBA. We would have never thought that would have happened years ago when we were growing up, because all we thought about was the big schools. But anyway, but anyway, back to Dante's point. I don't want to detract from what Dante was saying.
The Lakers suck.
I just said it. We all said it. The Lakers suck. So they had to resort to go signing this kid from a college like that we used to go to a two-way contract. Speaking of former champions from the G League, we remember saying, as long as you're in the league, you're in the league. But the kid had 33 rebounds, Rodney. That's what stood out to me. That's why I was like, damn. Okay, Lakers. But that also to me says something else about the NBA. Of all these players in the NBA, which is why I said the NBA is garbage, if you got to go back to the G League and you sign a kid to a two-way contract based on the fact that he had 33 rebounds, first of all, what team was he playing in the G League to where he got 33 rebounds? But then again goes to show you how bad the Lakers are that they couldn't go even find another player in the NBA just to grab them rebounds. So was this like for publicity, or the Lakers struggling that bad? So that's why we talked about what's
the
up
Lakers.
with the Lakers.
The Lakers problem is a problem that a lot of these teams have. It's a problem that Phoenix had. You got too much money. You got too much money in your top 2-3 players.
On the front side.
In order to finish your roster, you have to go out and find just minimum salary players just to make the roster up. So
remember, that was the problem going into the season because of trading for Durant and everything. We talked about that on our which episode, 18 or something like that.
And that's also why Phoenix is it wasn't the Durant trade that got them into this position. It was a Bradley Beal trade that got Phoenix in their situation.
Oh, when they gave up the rest of the rest of the
roster for Bradley Beal. The Lakers went out and they got okay players. They traded away all of their assets for some okay players. And those okay players did okay for a few games. But as the season, it's a long NBA season. As the season goes on, you got to have some good players, not just okay players. And right now,
so who lost the roster spot? So who lost the spot on the roster if they signed this guy?
Well, I mean, the bottom of the roster is always the bottom of the roster is always, okay. They keep flipping. The Knicks signed what's his name?
Oh, wow. Hey, did the Knicks beat Portland last night, Rodney? By the way, mediocre man.
They did,
I meant to watch that game.
They just lost to Dallas by 4.
I'm talking about the other night against Portland. I meant to watch that. Yeah, watch that game and see how they beat this mediocre man.
They whooped Portland. What is his
name? That's
what
I figured. Mediocre man.
He's
which team?
He's wow, what is his name? I can't think of his name. Anyway, go ahead. I'm gonna figure it out. Let me find his name right quick.
You lost me with the Knicks on the game the other night. You mean last night or the other night?
No, we just signed him and they just released him. I was trying to tell you that the bottom of the roster is always changing, and that's only because they didn't want to guarantee his kind. Gibson, Taj Gibson.
Taj Gibson? Wow, man, that's
like 90 years old.
A long time.
Yeah, he was like 90 years old. They
What? He's still in the league?
They signed him, but they released him, and Tibbs told him, you got a spot on our bench to be a coach. Whenever you feel like you want to go ahead and stop playing. And coaches now are making quite a bit of money, as evident by one of the best coaches in the NBA, and that's Coach Spoelstra down in Miami. Even though he's a coach in Miami.
One of the smartest coaches in the NBA, by the way.
Even though he's a coach down in Miami, and he's one of my biggest rivals.
You know what else is smart?
What?
I saw this somewhere that I read this somewhere, man. Where did I read it? I don't know if it was a meme or something, but it said that Miami signed him to his extension after he signed his divorce settlement.
After them divorce papers, baby. That's why I say he's the smartest coach.
$1 million after his divorce got settled.
After. That's the smartest coach in the NFL right there. He deserves a shout out.
That's smart. So Coach Spoelstra he's become the highest paid coach in North America. I'm trying to get his actual his contract.
It was
like 120 some odd million. It is
right. They gave him one of them soccer European Football League head coaching type.
8 years, $120 million.
Yeah, they gave him a soccer player type deal, bro, for a coach. Mm-hmm.
He ain't getting no Mbappe deal though.
He did not get the Mbappe.
And he's saving a whole lot of guap. And he's saving a whole lot of guap because he had a hell of a lawyer. So, hey, you know what? Just hold out to after. Don't do that deal yet. What's going on at work? Oh, they want to resign. No, just wait. Just get this judge to sign this. Get that finalized. Then you go in there and get your bread. Shout out to Coach Spoe's lawyer. Hey, Dory, that wouldn't happen to that would happen to be your ship, would it?
Nah.
So,
I have to ask Hunter.
Hunter, why wasn't that you to negotiate Coach Spoe's deal? Damn.
Sure wish it was.
And lastly, real quick, y'all. I gotta say something about this, man. Y'all remember this. This happened the other night too, right? In basketball. You see the little inlay there. That was Dallas and Kyrie at Utah earlier this week. And you see the guys in the front row with the signs antagonizing our guy, Kyrie. So y'all remember right there to the right, all that stuff Kyrie went through. You see what the commissioner said. You see what he had to do in order to get back in the league. Y'all remember how much money he lost on his endorsements for all that. But what pissed me off about this is the only reason I brought this up here to put it on as we end our show is, as you see in the headliner there, the removal of the signs. The removal of the signs. How about we remove them for antagonizing a situation that cost the man's reputation and millions of dollars? How about removing their season tickets? That was just my opinion when I saw that. I'm like, so everything you went through, y'all gonna come there in the front row and antagonize the situation that they didn't like. So this is how you come throw it in his face after everything else. That's the only reason I brought this to light is my final point, and tidbit and rant at the end of the show. So, yeah, Utah, kick him out. Kick him out. Take their passes or whatever, their season tickets for doing such a thing. I think that was quote unquote anti-Semitic of them.
I was anti-Semitic and they say I'm Jew. I'm proud.
Well, my bad. Hey, hold on. I think that's un-Jew-like of them to be just that antagonizing. There you go.
Okay. Wait a minute.
You can't erase it. That's against their principles to be going against and antagonizing folks. I mean, come on.
Hold
That's why I had a problem like that.
Okay, so here's the
you
question.
Can't take my shoe deal. I'm wearing flip-flops.
Here's the question. First question is, what is Utah's policy on bringing signs to the arena? You know,
apparently nothing until it makes the TV.
Well, see, so if they allow you to bring signs, that sign is not offensive unless you want it to be offensive. Because if the sign said I'm black and I'm proud,
what does it have to do with an NBA basketball game? Exactly, right.
Again,
that's why they didn't have to throw salt in the wound.
If the sign said I'm black and I'm proud. So the thing is, you can't really say that they did this to antagonize Kyrie because of all of this stuff that's going on in the Middle East right now.
But
they could have been saying, hey, they're just proud to be Jewish. So
they did it at Kyrie, though. That's why they sent the ushers down there to take the signs.
See, again, I don't know the situation. I didn't even watch the game.
I watched the game.
But for you to, again, why is saying I'm Jew and I'm proud? Why is that offensive to Kyrie?
I didn't say it was offensive to Kyrie. I'm saying it was throwing salt on the wound from everything that Kyrie went through for his statement. Then they down there and just basically kind of open it up. So they basically opened back up this situation that should have been old news. But now this just made news, which is why I'm talking about it. That's all I'm saying.
I get I see what you're saying. I get the idea that we understand, and I don't know if I'm using the correct word here, but we know subconsciously, or maybe not even subconsciously, who that was directed at. We know that it was a gesture. Again, if you hold up those signs, there and Kyrie's there or whatever, I don't think that all of that is a coincidence. Even if you look at the fact of what's happening over in that particular area right now, I refuse to call it the Middle East for political reasons, right? But if we look at what's happening over in that area, I don't think. The question becomes, well, then why haven't we seen it or heard about this at any other venue in terms of a Utah game or whatever? Why is it that when Kyrie comes to town because now we can double down and make a double statement? We can make a statement about what's going on in over in our homeland or whatever, but at the same time, Kyrie has become symbolic of that kind of anti-Semitism because of the tweet and all of that kind of stuff. However, to Rodney's point, looking at that, they did it in such a way so that if you were to question it, they could say, well, no, all I said was I'm Jewish and I'm proud. If it had said I'm black and I'm proud, y'all wouldn't have a problem with that. So why is it that you have a problem with I'm Jewish and I'm proud? So they gave themselves an out. They protected themselves. But I think it's pretty obvious that they were trying to make a statement by doing that when Kyrie was there and also at this particular point in history. I think that was part of what that was. And so I see where he's going with that. But I also see what Rodney's saying. Right. When you first look at that, I said to myself immediately, oh, well, I don't see where you can say that. But when I start thinking more into it, I'm like, well, why they do it at a Dallas Mavericks? And this whole thing with Hamas and Palestine has been going on for weeks. So why weren't they there a few weeks ago with them same signs when it was a big deal, when Claudine Gay was getting ousted at Howard and they was jumping at the president of Colombia? How come they wasn't there then? Why they wait until the Dallas game with Kyrie Irving to put those signs up? Yeah,
and so just to end this on this note, that was why I mentioned that and agreeing with both of you gentlemen on whatever they were trying to do. They were trying to be sneaky. But the thing I did like that Utah did, their staff, whatever, they removed those signs. Like Rodney said, they're allowed to bring them in, but not knowing how they're going to use them. But then they made, because of all the political things that are going on, well, you know what? Y'all can't really be holding those up because we may have individuals of the Arab background or whatever that may want to wear their scarves to the game in support of Palestine. Now we got a political situation in our NBA arena. That's why I had a problem with that sign, on top of it being where Kyrie had just happened to be playing. You didn't see it nowhere else until then. So it was deliberate, but yet sneaky. And so on that little point, that's Geechee Dan's 2024 rant to start the new year, guys, on our first episode of season 2.
Season 2, episode 1 is in the books. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining with us tonight. We've had a good time getting back into the hang of things. We're going to be talking about a lot of the sports this year. 2024, we got the Super Bowl. First we got the NFL playoffs. Then we got the Super Bowl coming in the beginning of February, and then we get into the NCAA tournament time where we're gonna have our boogie blaming brackets again.
Fellas, guess what? Hey, guess what, guys? Guess what? Speaking of that, have y'all seen where the NCAA tournament is being held this year? Bring the team together. Yeah, look it up. Look at it since you're looking up to Jesus. Come on out, guys. Enjoy the weather. Let's get our golf on. Let's see what y'all talking about.
It's in Phoenix.
What? Huh?
What?
What? Huh? What?
March Madness out here, guys.
Hey.
Well,
you've been trying to go to Vegas, right? You're like, why go to Vegas? Might as well come on here.
We gonna
right there in Cali. Jordan right there in Cali. Might as well come on here.
Still ready to be used. Still ready to be used.
So speaking of the NCAA tournament, that will be here.
Right.
Hey, we got that. Hey, that's put a pin in that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that, guys. But
talk about that.
Again, y'all, like Randy said, thank y'all. Hit that like, subscribe button.
Pookie Dudes wasn't here tonight. Pookie Dudes is taking care of our Uncle. Okay.
Shout out
Pookie Dudes ain't here. He's taking care of our Uncle John. Shout out to Uncle John. John, we love you. Wishing you nothing but strength and health.
Nothing but happiness.
So on behalf of D Double, who's not here, on behalf of D Almighty, the Wonder Mouse, Geechee Dan, I'm Rod D. We hope y'all liked the stuff we said tonight. But if you didn't, kiss it. Guess what? We out.
Don't blame it on sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Don't blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. I don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Sunshine, moonlight, good times. Blame it on the boogie.